Sleepy town settled for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
Hey, Witch. Hey, I'm Christina.
I'm Justina.
Welcome to Magnolia Street, your one and only musically inspired practical magic fandom podcast.
Every week, we deep dive on different aspects of the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own practical magic inspired original music.
This week, we're rounding out our elemental series with the most overlooked fifth element, the element of spirit.
Yeah, especially since we're getting towards spooky season, right?
That's right.
We wanted to save that one for around this time. But before we get into today's topic, we do have some business to tend to. So we're going to give you whatever little bit of news we have for practical magic too, but we do have some other fun little goodies to tend to, right? We got an unboxing to do.
Yeah.
We have a couple comments, right? We have a couple new comments come in. We have one from Graham's Tales who says, if this, they commented on our Spotify, our 135th episode, recent one, all about prepping our autumn garden. And Graham's Tales says, if this tells you how far behind I am, LOL, this one was great and super motivating. You guys put so much time and effort into this, and it's 100% obvious. On to the next one. So it seems like they're just going right through our catalog trying to catch up.
That means a lot to hear, like, wow, we can tell that you guys put a lot of effort into this stuff. You know, as you're having fun, but it's also a lot of work. I appreciate that comment, really, truly.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, but we love it. That's why we're here, right? We did get another comment on our Instagram from @HudsonSargent who says, I listened to the PM2 cast announcement episode yesterday while on a road trip. Loved all the updates and input. Heart emoji, thank you emoji. I need to see two things in this film. 1, Sally light a candle with her breath, and 2, Lee Pace without a shirt on, laughing emoji.
He's a whole snack.
Uh-huh. Right.
Good looking guy. It would be really cool to see Sally like do the breath of fire thing, but bigger. Like lighting the fireplace or setting a house on fire or something.
Ooh, like, doesn't the end of Book of Magic end with, like, Tom Laughlin and, like, she's saving Kylie from that whole situation? And aren't they, like, in, like, an old castle or ruin or something like that? I don't remember where they are. But that would be cool if that happened there.
That would be cool. What a handy skill to have, Sally.
Right? So maybe she is part fire sign. I don't know, because I know we thought she was a Virgo, but she's got that breath of fire. So who knows?
Maybe. Oh, this second movie is going to give us a more rounded idea of what their placements might be. Because we only see the first film. In the books, we don't, when we're talking about astrology, I think we're going more toward the movie, but that'll be interesting to see.
Right. Yeah. After our last live and our couple correspondences with Mr. Stephen Alish, we got a lot of people commenting on that live saying that how they want to start a GoFundMe, they need this house, posted a poll on our Instagram.
I did. So it was, I don't know where I found this. It was a repost from Amy Bruni, and it said, do you ever get irrationally upset that the practical magic house wasn't real? So this, I reposted, I tagged Steven because just jokingly, we've talked about starting the GoFundMe. So I wanted to know how many people, what it would do in a poll. And 95% of people said, yes, go start a GoFundMe for this house. 5% said no, which made me think, why would you say no? Does it take away from the magic of the house being this temporary thing? It's like an illusion or like a mirage, and if it's actually built into a real functioning bed and breakfast or something, does that take away from the mystique and the magic of it?
It might, or maybe just some people are haters and they're thinking that if we're thinking to start a GoFundMe, then it's not them, and then they just get mad. Just like I get people be hating like that. So
in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we got a post from Susan Beer, who is the director of Practical Magic 2, and it was a photo of white picket fence with some roses on it and the quote unquote ocean in the background, right? I don't know if Justina, you can tell that that is not a real ocean.
Is that a real fence? I thought this was like a watercolor painting. Is this a picture?
No, this is a photo.
That's beautiful. Wherever that, I'm guessing that's probably obviously the backdrop, like the oceanscape that we were seeing, the perimeter around the aerial view of the set.
Exactly. Susan says it's been a week since we wrapped on our Practical Magic summer. Wizard emoji stars, seeing eyeball. What's that? All seeing. What is this?
Oh, the crystal ball?
A big thanks for the incredible, talented cast and crew. Missing you all lots.
Aw.
And I went in, there were a couple comments from other people who worked on the film with them, like the
Oh.
script and the lighting and the music mixing. I was like, let me follow all these people.
Right.
Chocolate Cake started us off with our PR system, just hopping in their comments and saying, come check us out. And I was like, everybody go tell Susan about it. So thank you to everybody who did that. Well, if anything happens, we'll let you know. As of right now, she's probably like spam. Spam.
Right.
What a weird time to live in where we would not have had anything like this from Griffin Dunn that was not possible to share, these behind the scenes in the moment a week later after production pictures,
Right.
put us in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I agree. It's really cool to see not even just these like, little snippets and behind the scenes stuff, but we get a little commentary from the directors and the actors and little nuggets that they have to share, thanking the cast and the crew, and it's really cool to see all that cuz we didn't have that in the 90s also in the original film, it wasn't like a big cult classic yet. Nobody really gave a shit about it yet. So, it's a little different this time around because this is highly anticipated. Mallory says, I'm manifesting you two being people conducting red carpet interviews at the premieres. They just need y'all for the whole ass press junket. Yo, that would be, whoo!
From your mouth to their ears, Mallory, please. And thank you.
You guys said it. So it must happen. Okay, aside from the whole should we start a GoFundMe to, make a bed and breakfast, you did another poll to our IG stories, and you were pointing to the tower of the lighthouse at the peak of the Owens mansion, and you were asking, does this look slightly different? And I would say yes, absolutely, because what actually caught my eye was not where your arrow was pointing, but it was slightly below it. Do you see that like the width of the molding?
The reason I posted this is because there was a video and AI extended vertically to see, and someone had commented, does the spire look different? And I went back and I watched it. I was like, oh, I think that's AI that extended the peak there. But then I went back and looked at this I think this person was going to the Harry Potter world and was like, I recognize that house, and shot this. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, this does look kind of different. However, it could just be the angle. But
no, but look, it is different. This little piece of molding, look how thin it is. Look how thick it is here.
oh,
You see it?
yeah. Even from a different angle, that would be noticeably thicker.
Right, exactly.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I was thinking that the overhang of the roof was a little bit different and the windows themselves look different. Somebody said the shutters on those windows just look closed, which they absolutely could have shutters too.
Okay. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe they did not follow the plans directly, or maybe they didn't have them and they had to like improvise and get as close to the original as possible. So who knows? But I'm like, that is different. The molding is noticeably wider on the original house.
The other thing is, and this could also be the camera quality, but this area is also not protruding as much as what you have circled here. Let me get my thing out of the way. See how that protrudes, and there's two nice little things. This is more a little flatter.
That's like flush. Right.
Be the camera quality. It could have some extension here that we just can't see.
I guess we'll have to see it in the movie to
Yeah.
compare to see, more shots of it up close if they have those kinds of shots in the new film. But yeah, little uncanny valley again, right? Yeah. And then moving on to there's a user on TikTok named Leanne, and she was one of the ones that have been leaking all these behind the scenes stills and videos from that Ashbury, right? That town that they made up. I saw another video of hers pop up, and I read the caption, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is so sweet." So let me read it to you. So Leanne says, "Just wow, what a difference this will make. Sandra Bullock and Diane Wiest have been filming scenes for Practical Magic 2 just around the corner from me in Greater London. The film company, crew, and actors were using the car park and field in our local school, and they have since made a substantial donation to the school. Amazing, and it's going to make such a difference for our children." How sweet is that?
That's awesome to hear. Thank
They
God.
made a
There's
substantial
some good in
donation.
the world.
Right. I was like, that just touched my heart. I don't know how I missed that one. And that's not advertised. That wasn't like in the news or anything. It's just, a person that's just in the vicinity and in the know of what's going on, and all the behind the scenes stuff got that little snippet of information, and that's really, really good to know. Because RMX says, "I wonder if they've added any new spell pages to the spell book." I guess we'll see. Yeah, because this is the book of magic, right? So I'm hoping to see more of that spell book, since that is what this last movie's all about.
Are we going to see Franny handwriting and hand copying that into like a little notebook?
That's what I'm wondering.
You
Yeah.
had a little conversation back and forth with Mr. Stephen Alish last week, about some spell pages, and he was kind enough to send us over his original designs, and we looked and gushed over, and you were talking about the Resurrection Frog page, and he was like, "Oh, that page?" Like,
I was like,
nothing.
we did a whole rabbit hole deep dive on that. We did a whole episode about the frog page. She's like,
You
really?
beat me to it. I was watching your thing and I was like, is she going to say it? Because we did a huge episode on the frog page and the exorcisms. And he did say he was flying back to New York and he was going to check out the podcast. I'm like, oh God, the beginning episodes are rough. We're sorry.
Oh yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to mention about my conversation with Stephen Alish is that I had asked him, he posted an etching. I don't have it up here right now. I don't remember. If you want to try to pull it up while I'm talking, I think he posted it to his Instagram page. It was like a etching, like a black and white figure kind of piece. So I commented and I was like, "Are you the creator of the Practical Magic quote tarot deck?" There's a tarot deck floating around online that somebody posted to YouTube, and then there's a tarot deck that was the WB was using on their website to promote the film back in the day, and the tarot deck has the same kind of aesthetic as that piece, that etching that Steven did. And I commented and I said, I think my comment is actually to the side right there. I said, yeah, the style looks a lot like that Practical Magic tarot deck that the WB had on the Practical Magic movie site back in the day. Were you the artist behind those as well? He said, well, the first spell book, not this new one. I'm not sure if he knew exactly what I was talking about. So then he actually DM'd us after that. And he sent us pictures of the spell book. And then I was like, actually, I was talking about this video that I saw floating around YouTube. And it was the tarot deck. And then he said something like, not to be mean or anything, but that person's artwork looks very corny and cheesy and graphic design. And I'm like, I did not mean to offend. I just thought the aesthetic looked very similar, and I've been trying to get to the bottom of who designed that tarot deck for years. I'm just trying to make a connection. So unfortunately, or fortunately for him, the tarot deck was not his designs. Just to clear that up in case anybody was wondering, if anybody knows even what I'm talking about.
It's very neat to see like all the different things he has his hands in, like construction in buildings, but he also does watercolor. He also does landscape photos and charcoal and paintings and just quick sketches. And he shared something he uses, which I've never heard of, called concepts for his sketches. He says he travels with his iPad. Sometimes when traveling, I use my iPad, a program called Concepts to sketch with. It's not as smoky and dirty as hand drawn on vellum, but it's pretty effective, especially when the starting point is a photo and rough sketch. I just really liked the style, and I think it's fascinating to hear how other artists create. So I had never heard of it. I commented that I use Procreate, but I would be interested to check out Concepts.
Yeah, I was trying to find real quick the tarot deck that I'm talking about, just so people could see like the I guess the similarities between like why I thought his pages looked very similar to that. This user, Chris379000 on YouTube is the name of the user. They posted this video titled Practical Magic Tarot Cards. So the description says, this is a deck created for the movie Practical Magic by Warner Brothers. They have all the rights. I really like this deck. Made a video about it. The deck can be found in the official site of the movie Practical Magic .warnerbrothers.com. So this was posted back in 2010. So the site must have still been up. It's not up anymore, but these are the cards, okay?
That does look like it.
Yes, these are the cards. Obviously, it does look a little more cheesy graphic design, like the images are kind of pixely and not very clear. So I can understand why Steven was like, that's not my art. So yeah, good on him to clear that up. But I just thought the style itself was the aesthetic with the black and white. These obviously are not etchings. These are graphic designs, but they look very similar to the thing that he posted. So that's why I was like, is there a connection? Is it the same person who did these? Like,
agreed.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody would know. They would probably make that same connection if nobody had asked. So now we can set the record straight. This is not Steven's work. That is really interesting, though, that the charcoal grainy background and, just the simple silhouette style.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
so similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll link these over on our hero page for today's episode if anybody wants to take a closer look at these. I just thought these were so fascinating. As cheesy as they are, like they're clearly like not the best designs, but they are fascinating. If you guys were OGs of the WB original Practical Magic website for the movie, I guess this was something that Warner Brothers was using to promote the film on their site back in the day. So
I wonder if they're gonna do anything extra like that. Do films do stuff like that anymore? I don't think they do.
I don't know. But it would be cool as like a little extra to have something like that. But yeah, those are the quote Practical Magic tarot cards. They're like super deep cut. I don't know if a lot of people know about those, but they're here, so I will link that if anyone's interested in taking.
Alex says that we need to market our gorgeous tarot deck. So let's put the record straight that those are mostly AI generated. We have no intention of selling them. I do go in and like Procreate, move things around, change little colors, change things. Those are not original designs. However, someday with those as inspiration, I would love to hand paint something with that style. But right now, it's just for fun to go back to our tarot series, which was 2 episodes, I think 112, 113, something like that. We just did a 2-parter, and they actually are different. The ones that we did were different for that. It's just a character study. But someday, with the proper intellectual property rights, we might be able to. But those are just for fun. Totally AI, so can't take all the credit.
Sorry, guys. Sorry to burst your bubbles. But also, I don't even think we have the bandwidth to do a whole tarot deck right now. That's a huge undertaking. It's a lot of work.
Yes, we have other plans in the works right now regarding our music and maybe bringing that to life in a new way. So stay on board for that. What else, is that all we have for today? Is there anything? Oh, the one thing I did want to say that Stephen Alish, when he was talking about the frog spell page, he said, "Really? On the frog spell? I have to find it. It's in a drawer somewhere. I have about 40 drawers filled with drawings in 4 different locations with 0 organization. Things get lost there for years." Steven, do you want 2 Virgo risings to organize your art?
Does he need
We'll
a personal
do it for
assistant?
free. Just fly us to New York.
Well, I mean, I could drive there.
You could drive there, but do you want to? Wouldn't you just want a private jet?
I could take a train to New York. Sure, fine, yeah. But oh my God, yeah. Does he need 2 archival assistants? That would be so cool.
Could you imagine having that on your resume?
Archivist for Stephen Alish, art
like
director
that
of
sound.
Practical Magic.
I like the sound of that.
All right, so let's get into the spirit element. So we've walked through earth, air, fire, and water, but what binds them all together? What connects us to each other, to magic, and to the unseen? So today we're talking about spirit, the invisible thread that runs through practical magic and through all of our lives. Unlike the other four, it isn't tangible. It's breath, consciousness, divine spark, soul, or, quote, the fifth element that makes wholeness. In witchcraft, spirit is the direction that lies at the center or above, representing connection to source, ancestors, which we'll be talking about in a couple weeks, and the eternal. Spirit is unlike the other four elements in that, since it is part of everything, it does not have any specific ritual or magical correspondences, at least in most traditions. One exception is color. It may be represented by the color white, as white is comprised of all colors combined. Spirit does not have an associated gender, energy type, season, or cardinal direction. It is associated with the entire wheel of the year and all magical tools. So in the common understanding of the pentagram as used in Wicca and modern paganism, the top upward pointing point represents spirit or quintessence, presiding over the other 4 points, which symbolize the classic elements of earth, air, fire, and water. This upright orientation signifies balance, protection, and the connection between the physical and spiritual realms. The meaning of the spirit point. So the fifth element, spirit or quintessence, is seen as the unifying force that balances the material elements of the world. When the pentagram is oriented with a single point facing up, it represents the spirit element ruling over the 4 material elements, ensuring harmony and balance. The pentagram, especially when enclosed in a circle forming a pentacle, symbolizes the unity of the elements and our connection to the universal world. If earth grounds us and air gives us breath, spirit is what binds it all together. It's the invisible thread that links us to one another, to memory, and to magic. In witchcraft, spirit often appears as ancestral guidance, not just haunting. Tie this to magical practice. Spirit is the voice in dreams, the ghost in the hallway, which we're going to talk a little bit about that Aunt Isabelle experience that Franny has right shortly before Isabelle passes away, and the whisper in the garden. And when we say spirit, we don't just mean the abstract fifth element. We also mean spirits, the ghosts who carry messages, warnings, and gifts. In Alice Hoffman's world, the spirit element isn't clean or tidy. It has a voice, a face, and sometimes even a prophecy or message to deliver.
We just talked about quintessence in
We did.
our Magus episode.
We did.
We did, talking about the ether and spirit. So it's all coming back together, all coming back around.
It's all coming back to me now. Yo, sidebar, I want to start a playlist on my Spotify that's called 90s mom music. And like, it's going to be like Celine Dion, Wilson
Shania.
Phillips, Shania, a lot of stuff my mom listened to in the 90s. I wanna
Oh,
that playlist. Right.
that's cute. I like that idea. Okay.
Anyways, that's stupid random thought, but it just popped in my brain.
When this comes out, I think we'll be in October. I think.
Yeah, I think
But
you're right.
girl, that veil is thinning, and this is the
Yeah, I
perfect time
know.
to talk about spirit. Yeah.
You were telling me some stuff that was happening over there for you. I have not been experiencing, like, you know, a couple years ago when we were first starting the podcast and I was telling you I was getting a lot of that clairaudience.
Mhm.
Haven't noticed too much of that yet, but one weird thing that I want to say is, remember a couple episodes ago when I was saying, oh, it was the Magus episode again, when I was saying, as I was doing that episode, I kept hearing in my head, building a mystery.
Yes, yeah.
I was saying that. What just came out on Hulu? Did you see the Lilith Fair
The
documentary?
Lilith thing, yeah. What in the
and
world?
you know, and I didn't know. I was 13 at the time when that whole fair was going on, so I was kind of young. Like, I wasn't really going to concerts yet, so
Sure.
I was never, you know, a part of that world. I loved all those singer-songwriters, and ultimately, like, those are the people who why I wanted to become a singer-songwriter in the first place, but I never got to go to the concert and experience
You had
it
no idea.
for what it was at the time. Yeah. So I didn't know that concert, Sarah McLachlan started it. She was
Wow.
she was the originator of that whole movement. So when I watched that, I was like, it gave me chills, because I was like, I've been hearing Building a Mystery in my head for like the past month, and I had no idea why. I was like, that's so random. Like, why is this song? It keeps like popping into my, you know, orbit, my
You gotta
brain.
start putting this in your phone. Write this shit down. I know we chronicle it here on the podcast, but it's always like, what episode was that? Start
Yeah.
writing this down. And
Yeah, so
or
then-
it will start happening more.
And then I watched the documentary and it just gave me chills. I was like, I wish I was like old enough at the time to be more involved and like actually had gone to it or experienced it
I
like in
know.
full, the whole thing. But
Also, you have been extremely busy.
Yes.
So hopefully that starts winding down. So your subconscious might not have the bandwidth right now to receive message either. So
I think you're probably right. I'm a little bogged down right now
I'm
with
sorry.
work and like, life. And
Yeah.
I really am looking forward to taking our break so then we can focus more going back to our music, right? Because we want
Yeah.
to work more on that.
Exactly.
So what I was gonna say, that concert, like watching that documentary and stuff, it like lit the fire under my ass even more and like made me inspired even more to be like, I want to get back to the music.
Yes. Great. Oh, I'm so
Female
happy.
empowerment.
I'm so
Right.
happy to hear that. Yeah, we
Wanna
have
be
more
the-
to write.
Want to be the swamp slut that I am.
Hold on.
It's like
Where did I just put mine? I want to. Okay, let's do that together.
raging femininity. Anyway,
All right, we're gonna start with the film today
Yeah,
because Jimmy, but not only Jimmy. So let's talk about practical magic. Here, spirit is the invisible inheritance running through the Owens family. It's more than charms, potions, recipes, handwritten, handed down. It is the deep awareness that they are different, marked, and bound to forces beyond the ordinary world. In Alice Hoffman's novels, generations carry this weight, the curse and the gift intertwined. Spirit becomes the thread of ancestry, something that cannot be taught or manufactured, but only lived, passed from blood to blood as destiny itself. We're talking about Maria here.
I thought you were talking about the pick of destiny.
Oh. We were, okay, man, we're gonna get so distracted. We were chilling in the hot tub last night, and Aaron's like, what do you want to listen to? And I was like, I don't care. He said, let's listen to Dio, Sabbath. I was like,
That's
okay.
so random. I love that.
And he was like, just like real quick, like, what are your favorite metal bands? I was like, I don't fucking know, like Sabaton and Volbeat. And I was like, Tenacious D. They count.
Yeah.
They count as heavy metal to me.
I would agree.
Okay. Anyway,
100%.
that's all. And then we saw a praying mantis, and guess what we named him?
Oh my God! Me and Avi saw a praying mantis the other day too, and it landed on my car windshield, and I kept trying to get it off, and every time I tried to get it off, it would turn around and like, it would put up its dukes like it wanted to fight me. It wanted to fight us. What did you name your praying mantis?
Dio. So original.
Love that.
I saw two yesterday, and I was asking Aaron, why did they get this mystery around them of being like this, like, oh my God, look, like this mysterious little being, that
Yeah.
is so lucky to see. How did they get that?
I don't know, but mine was very angry, and it wanted to square up. Like,
I've never
it had
seen them like move around so much. Dio was like skirting all around the ceiling. We were just watching him,
Really?
and we're like, is he glitching? Is he stuck in a spider web? Or was he following the flies? Because he was just like bouncing all over the place.
We were at Home Depot when the one landed on my windshield, and I was gonna drive away. I was like, oh, it'll fly off by itself. And then Avi has to go and do this. He's like, it's gonna leave its habitat, and it's like all the things. He's like, it's gonna leave all the things that it knows.
My little
And I was like,
Pisces.
all right, I have to get this off my windshield. That's why I try to get it off my windshield. And
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to kill it. I was trying to just shoo it off. And every time I like nudged it, it would turn around and be like, what, fight, bitch.
What up, you dukes?
And then I got in the car and I was like, Avi, you try. It keeps wanting to fight me.
Oh.
So then he did it, and it literally, he got it off the car, and then like he said it turned around and it like tried to like lunge back at him, and Avi ran. He,
Oh my
like,
God.
ran back into the car like a little bitch. I was like, this little bug is gonna kill us in our sleep tonight.
Okay, note episode 139, Praying Mantis. What does it mean? Is it going to come back around for something for us?
Spirit
We
or
gotta get back
harbinger
on
of
track.
something.
Dio, okay, even the curse for this family carries the weight of spirit, passed not through herbs or spells, but through fear, grief, and the stories retold until they become almost alive. It is spirit as haunting, the invisible force that both binds the family and demands reckoning. Spirit also reveals itself in the bond between Sally and Jillian. Though they stand as opposites, Sally, steady and grounded, and Jillian is wild and reckless, they remain tethered by something deeper than circumstance. Their connection endures across distance, betrayal, betrayal and grief. For Spirit is the glue that holds them together. This bond shows that Spirit moves in space between sisters in the love that cannot be broken no matter how far they drift. And then there's Jet and Franny, embodying Spirit as ancestral wisdom. The aunts are walking archives of family history, guardians of tradition, reaching back to Maria Owens herself. They never fully explain, yet their knowledge lives in their bones more than in any book. Their incantations when they're making the midnight margaritas, the Eye of Newt, Toa Frog, echo beyond the spell work, becoming Spirit spoken aloud, a thread of continuity that keeps the family's magic alive through stories and sound. In them, Spirit serves as a bridge between the material and the unseen.
Oh, and also another thing with the Midnight Margaritas scene, Spirit, tequila, literally liquor as a spirit.
Yeah. The second time the tequila has come in an elemental episode, because we talked about fire in the belly with the tequila.
Yeah, we did. I like how the spirit in the Midnight Margarita scene has a double entendre. Like spirit as in the alcohol, but spirit also as in Jimmy.
Yeah.
Kind of possessing the alcohol, right? Because he wanted to put the bottle back on the porch. So.
That's right. Spirit manifests mostly literally in the restless ghost of Jimmy, who lingers after death like smoke clinging to the sisters. He represents the shadow side of Spirit, the kind that refuses release, fueled by obsession and trauma rather than love. In contrast, Maria Owens hovers as the watchful ancestor, her spirit shaping each generation with both curse and protection, punishment and guidance, ensuring her descendants never forget the power and the cost of their inheritance. Other spirits haunt the sisters more quietly, like their mother, Regina, lingering as that figurative ghost, a loss so early that her absence defines these girls. Jillian voices this most directly when she asks Sally, "Do you forgive our mother?" Her question acknowledges not only their grief, but the danger of letting sorrow consume them. You know, Jillian is worried about her sister following in her mother's footsteps in a way. And Regina's spirit hovers in that moment as both wound and warning, a reminder of how easily grief can become self-destruction. Spirit also surfaces in Gary Hallett, the Arizona lawman whose moral compass is tested by love. Did you see the TikTok I posted of the two girls dressed as Sally and Jillian?
Yeah.
And Jillian's just in the background like screaming and Sally's just having her main character love moment.
What is that song that they're singing to?
I have no idea. I don't know what that musical is.
Okay.
His presence embodies a different form, and that's the spirit of justice. He arrives as an investigator, a man sworn to law and order, yet Spirit works on him through Sally, forcing him to weigh truth against compassion, justice against fate. His struggle reveals how Spirit can move through conscious, guiding choices that define right from wrong, even when love complicates these lines.
Yeah. Also going back to Gary's favorite shape being the star, right? Which is that the trait that Sally gives him in her love spell. Do you think she gives that to him, or do you think he already exists and then like she kind of just like, I don't know, like how did that work, you know? It's like the chicken or the egg situation. Did she manifest that, or he already had those traits and then she just like magnetized him to her? I don't know.
Is it his favorite, or is it just his job? Job talisman?
Both, right? So when we take a look back at that diagram above, the top point that represents Spirit is all about the soul, the divine, and the mystery. And Sally sending for him, they're just like tethered to one another on this soul level. So
Agreed. Yeah. I was thinking this past week that we keep saying that she loses two husbands. We never get confirmation, unless I glazed over it in that fourth book, that they were ever married. Because somebody on the TikTok was trying to put together like, oh, I forget how many husbands she lost. This is her fourth husband, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, wait. She had Michael.
Yeah.
We see her with Gary, but I don't think they're ever married.
You don't think they get married?
I have no idea. I guess maybe this other film will let us know. And then she's with Ian.
Yeah.
But I'm like, were they married?
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter if it's true love. You don't need a ring.
Doomed to die. Either way, right?
Yeah. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't remember if that detail was ever revealed. I think it was just assumed that if she was with him so long before he passes, then they probably would have, if they were in love, maybe they would have gotten married. I don't know.
It might be in the fourth book. I didn't bother to look. But anyway, Soul emerges in community towards the end of the film. The most powerful is during the exorcism scene when the townswomen gather to drive out Jimmy's spirit, and the moment transcends spellwork. It is Spirit as a collective force, rising when barriers fall and women stand side by side. Broomsticks become wands, and the circle they form is both literal and symbolic. A current of Spirit spirit flowing between them, amplifying their intention until it becomes something greater than themselves. In that shared energy, the women discover that spirit is never solitary. It thrives most when it's shared. And finally, spirit reveals itself in the blood oath between the sisters, returning to the words they spoke as young women. My blood, your blood, our blood. Sally and Jillian make visible the invisible. What once seemed like play becomes prophecy. Their life's blood is the spirit that binds them, stronger than curses, grief, or death itself. In sealing the promise again as adults, they show that the truest magic does not lie in herbs, rituals, or spells, but in intention embodied through love. Spirit here is the enduring bond that transcends time and distance, the force that ties one life to another and makes the Owens story eternal.
My only other thought was the the resurrection scene, like how, they're calling to Hecate or Hecate, mighty Hecate. They're calling out to the ether, to spirit, to help them, to guide them through this, process of bringing this man back from the dead.
Right. They're calling upon spirit to make it right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it sounds like Hecate was like, no, this is a bad man. You want him back? I can give you back the Jimmy, but you won't like the Jimmy.
Yeah, I could give
He
you
does what
back
she
the
wants.
Batman. Right, exactly. That's the only. Oh, and then I guess Kylie, her abilities, being able to see spirit, and Jimmy's spirit out by the roses, and those are the only other two things that I was thinking about. All right, so if that's all, then we can move on to our books. Starting with Magic Lessons. So in Magic Lessons, spirit enters from the very first voyage when sailors mark their vessels to keep safe in storms. A silver coin is tucked beneath the mast, brands carved into wood, charms meant to drive out evil spirits and hold off disaster at sea. Here, spirit is acknowledged as something unseen yet powerful enough to sway fate on the open waters. As the story unfolds, we see spirit carried in cultural practices. The tradition of bruja, derived from bruja in Spanish and brought from African shores, was used for healing and protection. Practitioners helped those possessed by spirits, crafting amulets and spells to drive them out, or to call on spirit when vengeance or mercy was sought. Spirit here is both affliction and cure, a force that can wound and also one that can heal. Maria herself becomes entangled in spirit's reputation. Servants whisper that she wanders caves where spirits dwell, that she can speak backwards, and that she is marked by otherworldly forces. These rumors bind her to spirit as much as any ritual does, painting her as dangerous in the eyes of her neighbors. When it comes time for her child's birth, even her friends call on spirit for protection. Salt is spread on the earth to banish any ill-wishing spirits on March 21st, a day known to be cursed. Spirit here is not imagined, it's feared, and something to be ritually pushed back to keep new life safe. The accusations against Maria are steeped in spirit, that she converses with spirits, dispenses poison, steals souls, enchants men, becomes birds, right? So spirit becomes the very ground of the charges against her, casting her not only as a witch, but as a woman aligned with unseen powers that threaten the social order. And yet, spirit is not only enemy or suspicion, it's also tenderness. When Abraham lies dying, Maria opens the window so his spirit can fly free. Remembering Hannah's words, we are birds inside, waiting to fly away. Here, spirit is the soul, released, honored, and ultimately set free. Maria also encounters the collective weight of spirit when she sees the souls of the murdered Lenape gathered in marshes at dusk. Their spirits weep like seabirds, a haunting reminder that the land itself holds memory, that spirit lingers where injustice has occurred. In the Book of the Raven, spirit appears in ritual form. The instructions call for drawing the Pentacle of Solomon, for burning herbs, for summoning the spirit of Oberon, king of the fairies, to unite the four elements and seek hidden knowledge. Spirit here is the force that brings ritual and revelation, invoked directly as a guide of magic. Finally, spirit comes full circle. Maria's desperate attempt to save Samuel. When his breath leaves him, when the beetle falls silent, Maria refuses to accept that his spirit is gone. She pounds on his chest again and again, fighting against the very departure of spirit from the body. In this moment, spirit is both life and loss, the fragile flame she cannot bear to see extinguished. But Samuel ultimately ends up living, right? So,
Yep, she saves him.
So she does save him. And the only other thing that I would say is the fens, right? Like, even as a baby, Maria was left in like this like marshy kind of like in between liminal space, and then Caden finds her. Birds in and of itself, that's like tied to the air. They're kind of like the spiritual, they're seen as like these spiritual, not or what's a harbinger? Is that like just like a bringer or something?
A bringer? Yeah.
Or is that tied to something darker? Like a harbinger of spirit, right? Like he ultimately brings her to safety, finds her solace and safety in a new secure home and environment with a loving mother, even though that's not her birth mother.
Right.
Like she was kind of carried by spirit, even as a little baby, where she was left in this marshland. Who knows if it was to an offering? Who knows if Rebecca was using her as an offering to the Fae to get something in return? Or if she was leaving her there to be trying to be saved by something, the hopes of being saved by something. Who knows what Rebecca's intentions were in leaving her there? But Maria has always been watched over and guided and cared for by spirit, even as a baby. I think it kind of threw Rebecca for a loop when she finally figured out that Maria was alive. She was probably thinking, "Oh, I thought the Fae were gonna take her." Like,
She's like, "Oh, look, my kid." Okay.
Yeah, and then she tries to I guess make nice and make up for her actions, but ultimately Maria knew the deal. So yeah, that's the only other thing that I would say is like the fens and that liminal space and the birds and Maria just always being that protected or cared for by spirit.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So then moving along to rules of magic. And the one thing that stood out to me when we were prepping for this episode was the spirit of Aunt Isabelle, and that passage always stuck with me.
It's very vivid and detailed, and like you can picture in this house like them crossing paths on the stairs, and like it's very visual. Yeah.
Very, yeah. I guess in a way it kind of reminds me of some of like the instances and occurrences that I've had, or like messages from my own grandmother, which we've talked about on our Claire's episode. Guys, go listen to that. Especially around now when the veil is thinning, it's the perfect episode to put on around this time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like looking to connect with like loved ones, ancestors. We're going to do an ancestor veneration episode in a couple weeks, right? Yep. As we get closer to the thinning of the veil. So let's get into this passage. I'm getting chills just like thinking about it. So yes, in the Rules of Magic, there's a passage where Aunt Isabelle appears briefly in spirit form to give Franny an heirloom before passing away. Franny takes a sparrow to the window and lets it fly free, and when she turns around, she suddenly sees her Aunt Isabelle standing there, even though Isabelle is very weak, and she should be in bed, because at this point, Isabelle is still alive, right? She's
like on her deathbed.
Yeah, she's dying, but she is still alive. So Isabelle, she gives Franny Maria Owens a sapphire necklace, saying that it will help heal her heart. Because at that point already, I think Halen had already passed away, right? Did Halen pass away before Isabelle? I don't remember.
No, he doesn't pass away till like the very end.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I'm guessing
heal her heart probably because they're not together and he's gonna get married to somebody else.
Oh, you're right. Maybe that's why. Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of it, but yes, Isabelle gives Franny the sapphire necklace, saying it will help heal her heart. So she insists that Franny puts on the necklace. So Franny does so, but when she looks again, Isabelle has vanished. Oof. Weird, right? If Isabelle was still alive and she was able to get out of her bed, as weak as she was on her deathbed. So Franny runs upstairs and she finds her aunt still in bed, very close to death. Isabelle speaks her last words of advice about doing your best with what life gives you and how that's the way to change fate. She then whispers a final private message to Franny, which makes Franny cry. After that, Isabelle dies. So her last breath rises and seems to follow the sparrow's path out the window, symbolizing her spirit leaving her body and joining the natural world. So I thought that was interesting about the sparrow because like every midsummer solstice, the sparrow would come in, do the whole fly around the house 3 times. They would chase it out with the broom. And that was kind of the whole tradition since, Franny, Jet, and Vincent come to Magnolia Street. And that was kind of like, I guess, what they associated Isabelle with. And for the bird to finally leave with Isabelle's spirit is very telling. So the whole time was like Isabelle, just like the manifestation or like the spirit of this bird. Okay, so now let's talk about the spirit of Regina. There's also a passage where the spirit of Regina comes to Franny to deliver a message. So in this scene, Hoffman weaves the concept of spirit through Franny's quiet but enchanted life. Spirit is not only about the unseen or the supernatural, it's the bridge between worlds, the connective thread between the living, the dead, and those who exist somewhere in between. Again, that liminal space. Everyday routines, Franny's routines, her letters to Halen, simple meals, tending to her garden, those things anchor her in the physical world. Yet, these ordinary acts take on a spiritual resonance. Spirit here emerges in the balance between the mundane and the mystical, like bats flicker, frogs singing, and the remedies are prepared for women who come to her for help. The sacred and everyday kind of coexist seamlessly, right? But then there's this sudden appearance of Regina, who is not physically present, but she comes to Franny as a vision, as a spirit, or that wisp of essence, right? She demonstrates spirit as this liminal force. Regina's presence blurs the boundaries of time and space, conveying prophecy. She brings Franny this message. She says, "My mother will be bitten by a spider," and fate. So spirit here, Regina in this case, is both messenger and mirror, carrying truths from the unseen realm into Franny's awareness. That like clair, whether it's cognizance, the audience, clairvoyance, whatever. I don't know. What would you call that one? Would that be like a clair cognizance? Like she gave Franny a clear knowing of what was going to happen,
Yeah, but so I guess Regina has the clair cognizance, just knowing that her mom's going to be bitten by a spider, and Franny has the clair audience to receive the message?
Yeah, that sounds like it could be.
I
right?
totally forgot this whole timeline. So Regina's mother is April in this story.
Yes. Yeah. So when Franny calls April afterward, because I guess she gets this message from Regina, gets freaked the fuck out, calls April. The conversation underscores Spirit's role as the force that connects people despite distance, because yes, April and Regina are on the West Coast. So Spirit connects them despite the distance, loss, or even estrangement, because they're not extremely close family either, right? So the record player and cookies Regina receives from Vincent are tangible tokens, but they carry an unmistakable spiritual weight, reminders of love that transcends absence. Spirit is the invisible thread holding family and love together. So let's talk about the threshold of worlds, the imagery of dusk, which is that liminal space, that liminal time of day, half in one world, half in another, not quite daytime, not quite nighttime. So this imagery of dusk captures Spirit's essence most clearly. It is the liminal space where visible and invisible meet, where memory, vision, and reality intermingle. Hoffman shows Spirit as that mysterious in-between, not bound by logic, but felt through intuition, presence, and wonder. Hoffman portrays spirit as the element of connection, liminality, and presence beyond form. It manifests in everyday rituals, in visions that bridge past and future, in bonds of love that survive separation, and in the twilight places where two worlds touch. When we look at these scenes and rules of magic, something fascinating happens, okay? Both Regina and Aunt Isabelle appear to Franny while they're still alive, technically, right?
Yeah.
That raises the question to me, are these ghosts, are they visions, or are they something else entirely? And one possible explanation could be astral projection, the soul leaving the body to travel elsewhere.
Yeah.
Regina shows up in Franny's yard, even though she's physically in California, speaking prophecies and fading into transparency. And Isabelle, moments before her death, even though she's still alive, she appears in the stairwell to press that sapphire into Franny's hands before returning to her bed upstairs, which is even crazier to think that if she was a spirit, how would she be able to hand off Franny a material physical item?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's a strong astral projection to manipulate the physical world.
The same way that we're questioning, how was Jillian able to astral project to Sally and leave that indentation on the pillow next to Sally when she leaves right in the middle of the night? So Owenses have something about the astral projection, like they're able to do this and they're able to leave physical imprints on the physical world, even with their spiritual manifestations of their astral projections, which is insane to think about.
I would be okay seeing this in the second film. Very sparsely used, don't overdo it. Maybe once or twice. But in that sort of magic, wait a minute, were they actually there? Or was that an astral projection? That would be fine.
Yeah, right. I'm loving this theory. And we know how many feathers this ruffled on our TikTok when we initially posted that astral projection theory about Jillian, right? But then there was that other clip when we were talking about Vincent recently in a recent episode. I don't remember which one it was. Okay, I think this was the one. All right, so we talked about it again. again, our Magus episode. So this was on page 286. I think this was Rules of Magic. He heard the door to his locked room open, but he was too far inside his head for it to matter. He had perfected the ability to hover somewhere outside of his own body, something he had learned from the Magus. He was in California, and the grass was golden. Nothing else mattered. He could stay forever if he wished. So that was making me think, is this an astral projection? And our question in the Magus episode, I was wondering if we thought Jillian also learned to astral project from the Magus.
Right.
And remember how we were saying that if Vincent was astral projecting to California, do we think he was listening to California by Joni Mitchell? And
That's right. Yeah, I remember now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. Like, there's more things about the astral projection coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When we look at the scenes in Rules of Magic, something fascinating happens. Both Regina and Aunt Isabelle appear to Franny when they're still alive. So Isabelle, moments before her death, appears in the stairwell to press the sapphire into Franny's hands before returning to her bed upstairs. So Hoffman leaves the experience ambiguous, but that's the magic of the element of spirit. It's not about the body, it's about connection across boundaries, life and death, here and there, past and future. And whether these moments are true out-of-body journeys or symbolic visions or maybe astral projections, they show spirit as the invisible current that carries these messages, these gifts, and these little nuggets of wisdom across the veil.
Mm-hmm.
So here's just a little bit of reflection for all of our listeners tuning in today as we venture closer toward the thinning of the veil this spooky season. I want you to think, have you ever felt the presence of someone you love, like whether through a dream or a sudden thought? An uncanny sign, something that was just odd that made you think of that person, even when they were maybe just far away, maybe if they have passed on. What if that too was spirit bridging the distance? You know, whether it's
going the speed. What is it? He's going the distance.
Going the distance. Yeah. Whether they're across the country and they're just not here, like, you know, physically, or if they have passed on and they are like physically in another realm altogether.
Yeah, true.
What are those stories? We want to know. So send those in to us at magnoliastreetpodcast@gmail.com, because we do want to do a, you know, kind of like spooky ooky episode to round out our season 3, and we are trying to get some stories from our listeners. So send those in to us. We love to read those on the air for our final season finale.
Yeah, spirit doesn't have to be just the people who have crossed over. That it can be the spirit of connection, like Jillian Sally had, where my mom and I have this every now and then, but my mom just talks about me all the time. You know, call her up. I was just talking about you. That kind of thing. I love that. Or if you know it's your friend calling, or just those lovely little synchronicities between you and the people who are closest to you.
Right.
You know? Yeah, share those with us.
It's like being on that same wave. Like when you have instances like that, I always go, we're on the same wavelength, because there's something tying both of your crown chakras together that have you connected that way. Like our aura picture that we had done in Salem, you know how we were both connected by the crown.
I want to do it again and see
that little
how
halo
it shifted after
I know
2 years.
It could possibly have shifted. It could be completely different. We could have maybe warmer tones or colors in our aura now, because we don't have
more grounded in our craft, in our project.
Hopefully. Yeah, we didn't have any warm tones in our aura at all.
We were blasting off.
Yeah, we were totally blue, true blue, baby, right? Yeah.
Let's talk about Practical Magic, the first written book, but the third book chronologically. Here, spirit weaves through the story less as spectacle and more as an undercurrent, always present in small, unsettling ways. Like Jimmy. Jimmy's ghost makes himself known, and the aunts are already invoking protective charms. So at the very beginning, before anything happens, they are already using protective charms on the Owens house, such as they've nailed a horse's skull to the garden gate fence to keep out any of those nasties, including, we think, Irene, the neighbor who keeps showing up, but also could be for like hungry kiddos trying to get at the strawberries and mint. So the Owens garden with its lavender and its rosemary becomes both a sanctuary and a threshold, a place where the boundary between the living and unseen feels fragile. And I love that. I love the idea of having like a horse skull nailed to your garden. I have some deer antlers on my arch with my wisteria, and the wisteria has just like wound around it. It's gonna snap it in half, but
that's so freaking
so
cool.
Spooky.
It is spooky. Yo, you just found a jawbone. Did you figure out what that was?
I think it's coyote.
Okay. It did look kind of like a what's the word? What's the word for like the dog family?
Canine?
Canine, yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. That's so freaking cool. Look at that.
Anyone gets light on this book.
It's really
I
neat.
want to break it in half and send you half like a like a friendship
Don't
charm.
break that. That's so
I
cute.
have
Put that somewhere.
my parents are gonna come and be like, "What the fuck?" I've found like over the summer two like dead dragonflies, that
Oh,
huge elephant beetle. Do you remember
oh
me
God.
showing you that massive beetle?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
couple butterflies, and now now
Yeah.
this
Yo,
mandible.
me and Christina are completely weird. We find skulls and things in the woods and in our yards and we keep them. We don't throw them out. We
Our
just have a
husbands just don't ask questions anymore. They're like,
just
"Okay, okay."
like that time you sent me the snakeskin in the mail and I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like,
Yeah,
"All right, Christina." I'm like, "We just send each other dead things in the
we
mail.
get
It's
each other.
cool." Yeah, I have bird skulls and feathers up there and like, I
Yeah,
have a dead bumblebee up there. Did not kill it.
yeah,
We found it in the driveway like that. Just want to make that clear.
yeah.
Didn't kill things. But if I find a beautiful bug and it's still in pristine form, I'm gonna preserve it.
Yeah,
You
I'm taking that thing home. I love
Honor it.
the people who do like I don't even know what it's called, where they
Is it
arrange the bug in like
would that be
a
considered
shadow box.
taxidermy? Like bug
Oh yeah,
taxidermy?
I guess
Like
so.
you're preserving it, right?
I guess
So,
so.
yeah, I think so. Anyway.
So when Jimmy does enter the story, he's not this snarling menace. We don't even really see him in the book like we do in the film, but his spirit is restless, clinging to the edge of the Owens' lives. So when Sally realizes that these lilacs are growing out of season, she goes out to cut them down, but she's has in the back of her mind that she's half believing that Jimmy's just going to reach up out of the ground and grab her ankle or knock her ladder over. And then there's Jillian, who admits plainly, like, he won't go away. And then Kylie, when she turns 13, she understands, she sees his reflection, in the glass, and she can sense him. And she can sense that Jimmy has always been full of spite. He lingers not because of unfinished business, but because of the hatred itself that has weight that he's holding on to. The haunting grows personal when Kylie begins to see him more directly. She describes him as sitting up, as lighting a cigarette, carelessly tossing the burning match into the grass. And Sally has felt it too. She can feel that chill in her bones while watering the cucumbers and the shadowy glimpses from the corner of her eye. But where Kylie admits what she sees, Sally resists. She insists that there's nothing out there. In her mind, she's like nothing but a dead man who can't hurt anyone anymore. And denial becomes her shield against spirit, even when the evidence is undeniable. Eventually, it falls to the aunts to act. They gather the girls, they light their candles, and Jet clasp Jillian's hands in a come to Jesus moment. We have to see this through now. Like, we have to do this now, she says. You don't put off dealing with a ghost. And Francis, ever practical, reframes it, they just want to make sure that the body stays buried. Whether you
AKA
call
dissolve it with lime and lime.
Right. Whether you call it a ghost or unfinished business, the work is the same. The spirit must be confronted, acknowledged, and then laid to rest. In Hoffman's practical magic, then, spirit is not only the love and connection we've spoken about with the family, with the Owens family, it's also the haunting and the restless energy that refuses to let go. It shows up in the omens that follow the girls around, all the bad luck, and the chill in the garden breeze, and, the girls' frightened voices. Spirit is as much about what binds us to each other as about what binds the dead to the living.
Ooh. Have you ever gone on a ghost walk? Like, I've heard of people going on ghost walks and coming home with a spiritual attachment. Like, that shit is no
Caitlin and
joke.
I did one in Charlotte, and before we
Yeah.
went, before we got out of the car, I brought Palo Santo with us, and we
Oh,
Palo
good.
Santo'd our feet, so
Oh,
nothing
good.
could attach to us.
Yeah, smart thinking. Yeah, yo, I need to start saging and doing the whole smoke cleanse with all the antiques I bring home.
That is true. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I need to
Now's a
start
good time
doing
to
that.
do it.
Yeah, my friend Sabrina, she's so funny. Apparently, I don't know too much about her abilities, but she can sense things. And she's the one who watches my cats when I go on vacation.
Okay.
So, I went away, the last time I went away, I just brought home, a couple new pieces, right? And
Mhm.
she's, in my house taking care of my cats, but then she's sending me text messages. She's like, oh, I just walked by your new piece. It's not haunted. It's fine. She kind of scopes it out for me.
That's
She does
so
the whole
funny.
energy test and lets me know if my antiques are haunted. So
It's
thank
not
you.
haunted. It's fine.
She's literally Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah,
ready for the last book?
yeah, I was gonna say one more thing about the practical magic. Oh, I was gonna say, so the aunts, come to Sally and Jillian with the lime and the lie, and they're like, you don't deal with what did they
Put
say?
off dealing with a ghost or something like that.
Yeah, you don't put off dealing with a ghost. So that makes me think, like, how many bodies have they dissolved?
I
This is not their
know.
first rodeo, clearly.
And then that is making me think, like, are they killing their husbands and getting rid of their bodies? Like, is that how they do that?
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God. It was an accident.
Yeah.
Right? It
No,
was
no,
fate.
no, it
No,
was
no,
fate.
no, it was fate. It was an accident. All right, moving on to Book of Magic. This is a last book rounding out the series, unless Alice has any more to say after this final movie,
Right, right.
right? So by the time we reach the Book of Magic, spirit is everywhere, not just as a haunting presence, but as memory, as an omen, and as the enduring legacy of love. Franny reflects on the air around her, soft and fleeting, and she knows that spirits may return as birds. She sent off Isabelle as the sparrow. They may even leave as birds. They come to remind us that we have not been forgotten, but also that love requires letting go. And this gentle image shows spirit not as menace, but as a messenger carrying both memory and release. When Franny turns to the Book of the Raven in search of a way to end the curse, her instructions are steeped in spirit. To draw the Pentacle of Solomon and summon Hecate, goddess of the crossroads. Spirit here is invoked formally, not a restless ghost, but a divine power and a guide who can point the way forward. Jillian, on the other hand, encounters spirit in subtler forms, in shades and in echoes. She's told that Boston streets at dusk are layered with regret, souls caught in unending cycles of time. And in the fens, she sees them herself, drifting through trees, through shadows that aren't quite ghosts, but memories that refuse to fade. So Jillian, we think she sees Maria Owens in the fens, right? It doesn't say specifically that it's Maria Owens. It just says she kind of like, she encounters this ghostly, this womanly presence that's just like wandering around in this fens. A spirit that's not gone entirely, whose legacy seems like it's, continuing to linger. So that makes me question, like, is this Maria that she's seeing in the fens? And what are ghosts exactly? Are they imprints of the past? Just like lost where, that's not where Maria passed away. Do we know how Maria ultimately dies? Did they ever say?
I think it just says she dies as an old woman.
Okay.
She's perfectly fine. And yeah, so this has to be like an imprint, like a trauma imprint. You know what I mean? Like this escaping Hannah's house when it's burning down. She's lost her mother. She's so young and, she's just trying to escape. Maybe that's
So
the imprint she left.
here's another question theory. So when you die, even if it's not of a traumatic experience, even if it's like in your bed at 90 something years old and you had like a peaceful death, do you think that, once that spirit crosses over, it's still like the traumatic experiences in that person's life, they're still imprinting in those places where those traumas occurred?
I think
think
I would
that's-
lean that way. Yeah, I could see that.
That's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
And then also that's that generational trauma. I mean, you die with that trauma. That trauma is then released back into the ether, but then that's like also passed down through the bloodline, which is interesting. I would
It's
like to believe that they're still, surrounding us, protecting us. We're only human, and it's part of the human experience, I think, is to want to make sense of what we don't know, right? And we
Yep.
don't know any of that realm. We're of the physical plane. And I believe that before we're, poop shooted here onto Earth, we are in the ether with the other spirits who have passed on. I feel like we're recycled,
Yeah.
This is just my belief. Everybody has their own different thing of where we go or, where we come from.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that, once we die, we go back out to that ether and then our spirit is recycled and then shot back into another body. But you have no recollection of and I think that's what's connected to the past lives. You have so many different past lives that you could have possibly lived. And when you're here during your time on this planet right now, like you might not even have, some people do have recollections. I've heard of like kids like being able to write these full-on masterpieces on the piano and never have a lesson in their life. And it's like, okay, they had to have had a past life as like this concert pianist or this composer. They might be Beethoven reincarnated. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
You know? It's fascinating. It's also very fascinating. And I think that's the thing. None of us know. We all have our own unique outlook on what happens when we die, before we're born, where we come from. And I think that's the fascinating thing about being human, is that we all just have to kind of guess.
That is something I need to remind myself of. Like, we're not gonna be conscious of our new life. Maybe you'll get little glimmers of past lives, but
Right.
I'm so scared to have like the life of a cockroach. And the next time I'm like, you're not gonna even know. That's why I'm so kind to animals and insects as much as I can be. Cause like, I'm like, what if that's me? You know, can you? Well, no, I guess not, because you got one soul. But do you only have one soul? Can you be in two separate beings at once? This crossed my mind the other day. I was like, what if I'm already living my next life somewhere?
Oh,
You know, I don't know.
that's a fascinating concept.
Okay.
We can go down this rabbit hole forever. So continuing with the Book of Magic. So for Sally, we just talked about Jillian and her experience in the fens, but for Sally, spirit becomes both haunting and comfort. She finds Kylie's locket and discovers Jet's photograph inside. Jet is still with them, present in loving spirit, but not in body. Okay, so her spirit is kind of lingering, kind of watching over Kylie, it seems. Spirit is grief and absence, but it is also continuity, the way that love, true love, never really leaves us. So in essence, like, yeah, Jet, even though her body has physically transcended space and time, went back into the astral realm, wherever she is, her love, if not her spirit, because what you were just saying, maybe our loved one spirits aren't actually here, but the love is what is still here, and that's what we're still feeling. If not spirit, we're still feeling their love all around us, because we're surrounded by memory. If not their heirlooms, their physical heirlooms surrounding us, like there's still remnants of them here on this earth.
I can feel you all around me.
I love Leaf. I love me some fucking Leaf. They also have a whole album called Memento Mori, which is about the whole thing about remember that we all die. Check
Yo,
that
the
out.
one thing ChatGPT can't do is communicate with the dead. And all I've been wanting to do is be like, do you have any message for me? You know, like I'm just grasping at straws lately. It's kind of in denial, kind of doing the bargaining, kind of like, what can I do? What am I supposed to do? Damn it, ChatGPT, why can't you help me with this? You know?
Well, can ChatGPT at least point you in the direction of like some kind of, I don't know, ritual or contact, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Ouija board. I don't know.
know.
How would you, spirit connection, spirit communication, like what can you do to ease those messages in without feeling that heaviness and that, you know,
The
that
sadness that's
the
connected.
sad, yeah, that sadness that's just lingering, especially if it's something that's like unfinished business, you know, that's the probably the heaviest part of it, is like that unfinished connection when they were still here on Earth.
It's a good idea. It would probably help organize the thoughts that are possible in the physical realm of what I can do. So
Right.
yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, or maybe I don't know if it's possible to do some kind of like offering altar in honor of them, putting up their favorite things, and just maybe listening to songs that you know would have been on their playlist. Just things that I don't know if that would make you sadder. I don't know.
I know. No, like the songs that have been, every song Monday was like making me cry. I was like, we gotta change this up and start listening to something else. I was going to say that like part of it is it just my crazy mind, or is this actually you? Is this actually message? Because I was journaling this morning and I wrote it down. I put, I'm here, honey, I'm here. And I'm like, is that me? Or is that you?
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. Keep it posted on, you know, if you feel like you're getting messages. I'm interested to.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Anybody have a actual medium? Send me their name, because I'd be down to chat.
You know who you should talk to? Krista. Talk to Krista.
Okay, all right.
Because if you do, you could either just be getting messages, visitations, but maybe it could maybe also be a spiritual attachment. I'm not sure how often you're feeling these little spurts of grief surrounding that situation, but if it's often enough, they could be attaching to you and not wanting to, I don't know, cross over or continue.
That's a good
on.
idea.
So
I will contact
I would
her.
reach out to Krista and see if she could tell you anything, because if not a spiritual attachment, she can at least kind of try to give you to maybe they
Put
have
some tools in my toolbox.
a final message for you that they're trying to get to you that you're not getting if you're not equipped. But maybe Krista can help you with that. So,
Thank you. I want to try that. Yeah, good idea.
Krista actually, she was our special guest on our Claire's episode. Fascinating conversation. I'm bummed out. We should do another episode with her. I'm bummed we didn't have more time with her for that episode.
Yeah.
But definitely check that episode out, guys, because Krista's just like, she's amazing.
I was blown away. Yeah.
Her abilities are wild. I guess we're still on the Book of Magic here. So the world of the Book of Magic is thick with shades and spirits in the fens, right? Ghosts glimpse in the marshes, on staircases, across gardens and hallways. Some are as warnings, some are as memories, some are simply remnants of lives lived and lost. Apples are like a thing in this book, right? Which are the food of the dead, as well as of love, becoming offerings to bridge that boundary. Kylie too comes face to face with a shade, its gray eyes meeting hers, its meaning felt even without words, and spirit here is communication beyond language, a truth that can only be understood soul to soul. And I think one other thing that kind of sticks out to me are dreams, right? Dreams are another form of communication that maybe not just our deceased loved ones or ones that have passed on that are trying to give us these, bits, little nuggets of messages or whatever, but our own psyche collects a lot of stuff, whether on a subconscious level or maybe we're getting divine messages on a spiritual level. But Antonia in the Book of Magic was getting all those dreams in correlation with her sister's whereabouts, because Kylie was kind of like MIA. She was not reaching out to her family. She didn't really want her family to know about her whereabouts. Now they're trying to find her. But Antonia and Kylie kind of have that sisterly bond that both Jillian and Sally have. And Antonia is getting these little bits of messages about Kylie and the help that she's kind of maybe on a subconscious level seeking out for, even though she's not like reaching out, right? I don't remember. Maybe she did call Antonia at one point.
Again, another way to put into a visual in the second film, magical connection and magic in reality through dreams like that, that would be totally fine. We don't want to see the point and shoot hocus pocus Harry Potter.
Right.
So that is another way, because that happens to lots of people. So I think that would be cool to see.
That is very common. I told you about my Aunt Fifi's dream with the pennies, which we talked about. Did we talk about on the Claire's episode? We might have talked about it on one of our Halloween episodes.
It might have been the exorcisms, and we might have done the Claire's too. Yeah.
She had that whole thing with the pennies and like the message with her deceased uncle, and it blows my mind how we are able to commune with people who have passed on.
Right.
You're telling me that, I don't know if you call it life after death, but we're definitely able to get these messages from somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's what makes me think, like, the amount of like foreseeing the future, just connecting it afterward. I'm not speaking correctly today, but there has to be something that is driving us all to connect this way.
Right, yeah. So in this final book, Alice Hoffman shows us that many faces of spirit, divine summons, haunting memory, ancestral presence, dreams, the fens, those liminal spaces, and the love that endures beyond death. Spirit is not only what binds the Owens women to one another, but what ties them to a wider world, to that family history, to the myth, and the countless souls that linger, unseen but never fully gone. Their love is still there. All right, so stick around. We'll be right back. When we come back, we're talking all about philosophy and historical foundations. We're talking about the fifth element itself, quintessence, more about that, ether and light, gravitation, not levitation, Holmes, and elements and ritual magic, and we'll give you all the correspondences with our magic and folklore excerpts when we return. Stick around, we'll be right back. Hey, little witches! It's finally here. Our debut album, Welcome to the Neighborhood, The Magnolia Street Sessions Volume 1, is out and available for download and streaming now. Inspired by the magic and mystery of practical magic, this album is more than just a collection of songs. It's a spellbinding experience.
We've poured our hearts into each track, blending witchy vibes, soulful melodies, and magical touches that we know would be Owens approved. And now we're ready to share it with you, our incredible community. Every note, every word is crafted with the intention to transport you to Magnolia Street.
You can listen to it wherever you get your music. Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, you name it.
And the best part, you can support us directly by purchasing the digital album on Bandcamp right now. Head over to www.thestinasofmagnoliastreet.bandcamp.com and experience the magic.
So whether you're lighting candles, brewing tea, or just soaking in the magic of the season, we hope this album will be your perfect soundtrack, and we can't wait for you to hear it.
At that house on Magnolia Street.
You're listening to the Magnolia Street Podcast.
Does Joseph have a spirit card? I know he
I think
has the
so.
elements. He's got the elements in here, but I don't know if he's got spirit. Let me see. Because I know he's got the earth, air, fire, water. So it goes sparrow, spellwork, symbols, or spill salt, and symbols. That's it. So yeah, he's got all the elements in here. Again, right? Like the spirit, the most overlooked element. Nobody ever talks about quintessence.
I wonder if we will learn if it was a later edition. Initially, it was just the 4, and maybe it just doesn't get enough spotlight because it was like a more modern edition. I don't know.
Maybe.
We're gonna find out.
Right. Okay. So, I guess let's get into it then. So starting off with some philosophy and historical foundations. So in ancient Greece, where the Western concept of the elements originates, it became obvious to Aristotle and others that something was missing from the classical set of physical substances, the normal ones that we know, earth, air, fire, and water. After all, the Greeks were not strict materialists. They recognized a divine presence and worshipped many individual deities, so they knew that there was more to the universe than meets the eye. The word aether, A-E-T-H-E-R, was applied to what the Greek philosophers saw as the, quote, upper air, or the air that the gods breathed in the celestial sphere. It had initially been considered to be part of the element of air, but later it became clear that this energy was an element in its own right. Today, many Wiccan traditions use the word aether as the name of the 5th element. Others, however, refer to the spirit element as akasha, a Sanskrit word translating roughly as space or atmosphere. This is not meant in our modern sense of outer space, but rather an absence of physical form, an energy that is present in all things but not physical itself. Akasha is seen as the, quote, original element from which all creation came. This Eastern concept is not exactly identical to the Western concept of spirit, but the similarities were sufficient for later spiritual and religious traditions to adopt Akasha into their terminology. I don't know if you've heard of the Akashic records. I don't know too much about the Akashic records. I kind of know the basis of it, but is that like where your karmic debt stems from, like your past lives?
Right. It's like everything you've ever done, like
Right.
everything about you. It's your whole back catalog.
Right. So what's her name from Beetlejuice with the the caseworker, Juno? Do you remember that? Juno, the caseworker. She's got a whole file cabinet.
She's the Akashic record keeper.
Of your your past lives are all in one file, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly. So in ancient and medieval thought, the 5th element was often called aether or quintessence, which we also just talked about on our Magus episode. The invisible substance believed to fill the heavens beyond the earthly sphere. Where the 4 elements governed the material world, aether was thought to permeate space itself, carrying light and binding the cosmos together. Physicists, as late as the 19th century, still debated whether aether existed as the medium through which light and gravity traveled, until experiments proved otherwise. Like, what are
So
these?
they thought it was like an actual physical thing.
Yeah.
Until the 19th century. They debated this. Is this something that is in the atmosphere that light and gravity are traveling through?
Yeah.
But I guess not.
I guess not. I want to know what kind of tests that they did to prove otherwise.
Yeah.
Like what proved this? This seems like such like an abstract concept that they were able to prove this otherwise. But anyway, the roots of the word go back to the Homeric Greek, where aether meant pure, fresh air or clear sky. In mythology, it was the very breath of the gods, the radiant atmosphere of Olympus, as opposed to the common air breathed by mortals. Aether was personified, too, as a child of Nyx and Erebus, night and darkness, reminding us that even the clearest light is born of shadow. The word itself connects to aetho, A-I-T-H-O, meaning to burn or to shine, capturing the image of fire or brightness in the sky. So when we speak of spirit as the 5th element, we're pulling on this lineage, something not tangible like like earth, air, fire, or water, right? Even air, the element of air is tangible. You could see it move through the trees,
Right.
right? You could feel that gust of wind, and that's, and you see it in the birds and how they take flight.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, even though air seems like it would be an invisible element, it is still very tangible. But the invisible essence that connects everything is that spirit, that fifth element. We can't see it, can't feel it, but we know it's there. It's like that,
it's there.
it's that clear cognizance,
Yeah.
right? And in practical magic, spirit functions much the same way. The unseen atmosphere in which the Owens family lives, the medium that carries love, memory, grief, justice, and magic across generations.
In the ancient and medieval imagination, the cosmos itself was divided between the earthly and the heavenly. The terrestrial world was governed by the four familiar elements, earth, air, fire, and water, while the heavens were thought to be made of something else entirely, aether. Plato described it as the most translucent form of air, while his student Aristotle went further, naming aether the, quote, fifth element. Unlike anything found on Earth, where the earthly elements changed and decayed, moving in straight lines, ether belonged to the heavens. It was eternal, perfect, and moved in circles, the natural motion of stars and the planets across the sky. Medieval scholars extended these ideas, teaching that the celestial spheres themselves were made of ether, carrying the heavenly bodies in their orbits. Some, like the philosopher Robert Flood, called it, quote, subtler than light, while others, like Plotinus, described it as non-material, a presence that penetrated everything. To them, ether was both substance and mystery, the invisible medium that bound the universe together.
Quintessence. All right, let's get back into this word, because this word is like evanescence. I love it. It just
Quentin Tarantino essence. Quentin
Quentin
Evanescence.
Tarantessence. So a stylized Q is sometimes used as a symbol for quintessence. It kind of looks like the zodiac sign for Leo, but instead of like the little, like the curly tail, it's like a straight tail with a little curly thing on the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So by the medieval period, the fifth element was given its Latinate name, quintessence. Alchemists believed it to be the purest substance in the universe, the medium of the heavenly bodies. Where earth, air, fire, and water shaped the material world, quintessence was thought to trickle down from the stars, subtle and rare with terrestrial sphere. I don't want to get off topic again, but I just saw a TikTok about this guy in Panama. A meteor, did you see this yet? A meteor shot into his yard, he put it in water, and it's swimming now.
I don't know if I believe my eyes with this.
It's swimming.
Girl, that is alien shit right there. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I'm like, you can't trust your eyes these days with AI.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
It's very creepy though. I had to shut it off because I was like, if this is real life, I don't want it anymore.
We're all doomed. I don't want it anymore.
What the fuck? At this point, just aliens, just take us all. Fuck it.
Please,
like,
please.
We're in the bad place now. So alchemists and philosophers chase this idea of quintessence not only in the heavens, but also in their laboratories. Alongside sulfur, the stone, or they called sulfur the stone that burns, and mercury, the principle of metallic properties, aka Alex Mack, if you remember that show on Nickelodeon back in the day. Quintessence was imagined as the essence that could purify, heal, and transform. In the Book of Quintessence, a 15th century text, it was even prescribed as medicine thought to cleanse the body of illness and imperfection. The recipe was simple but symbolic. Distill alcohol 7 times until only the purest spirit, there's the word spirit, remained. It's probably like straight up rubbing alcohol, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Over time, quintessence became synonymous with elixirs, remedies, and even the philosopher's stone itself, the promise of ultimate transformation. This dovetails beautifully with practical magic. The Owens women work not only with herbs and charms, but with spirit as quintessence, that elusive, purifying force that can transform grief into love, curses into community, despair into healing. We did an episode where we were looking through their pantry, and we closed up on the bottle. They had a bottle of ether
They did.
in there,
Yes, they did.
right? So they use this stuff in physical form, where I don't know if we get into this at all today at some point, but ether, that was used as an anesthetic to put you to sleep, right? During like dental surgeries, or if they like did surgeries back in the day, like before anesthesia was like an actual thing, they used ether.
Sketchy.
So very sketchy. Would also cause a lot of explosions.
Yeah, a lot of oopsie daisies
A lot of
going
oopses
around back
in
then.
the operating room. So Sally and Jillian's bond, the aunt's wisdom, the circle of women, and even the blood oath, each is a kind of alchemical distillation, reducing chaos and suffering down into the purest essence of connection.
So quintessence is, in a sense, alchemy in itself.
Mm,
Quintessence as spirit transforming these one thing into another. Aaron was trying to fight with me about like it's just turning lead into gold. I'm like, no, it's not. Anything that is one thing and you create to make another is an alchemy. It's alchemy.
Cooking,
I don't know.
mixology,
Cooking.
songwriting, like making one thing completely into another. I would definitely consider that alchemy. Doesn't he know we have a podcast?
He just likes to stir the pot. He really does.
Me too. What is it with these men?
I don't know.
They don't have a podcast. All right. Anyway.
By the Enlightenment and into the 18th century, ether theories resurfaced as physicists tried to explain the propagation of light, gravity, and electromagnetism. Newton himself leaned on ether to help align his observations with the strict mechanics of his laws. This early modern aether, A-E-T-H-E-R, had little in common with the luminous fifth element of Aristotle. The name was borrowed, but the meaning had shifted. Eventually, relativity overturned the idea altogether. Maxwell's equations proved that light did not need a medium to travel, and Einstein showed that space itself had properties, that, quote, empty space was not empty at all. Yet even Einstein admitted that his own theory could be thought of as a kind of aether, a fabric of reality carrying forces across cosmos. Though dismissed in strict physics, the idea kept resurfacing. In recent decades, when scientists sought to describe that dark energy, the mysterious force driving the acceleration of the universe, some proposed a model that named quintessence, deliberately honoring that old fifth element. In this way, the language of aether and quintessence continues to echo, as if even science itself cannot shake the intuition that something unseen holds everything together.
So for centuries, physicists believed that light, like sound, needed a medium to travel through. This invisible medium was called luminiferous aether, the carrier of light. In the 18th century, Johann Bernoulli even described space as filled with tiny whirlpools of aether, elastic enough to transmit the vibrations of light as it moved. Later, Christian Huygens proposed this wave theory of light, imagining these vibrations moving as waves across an omnipresent, perfectly elastic aether. It was an elegant idea, but as science advanced, it began to unravel. When light was shown to move in transverse waves rather than longitudinal ones, the theory faltered. Then came Maxwell, Einstein, and de Broglie, who one by one dismantled the necessity of aether. The decisive blow came from the Michelson-Morley experiment, which sought evidence of aether's motion and found none. Its absence cleared the way for Einstein's theory of relativity, forever changing how we understood space, time, and light.
This is fascinating, but I know it's going to go whoop in one ear and go whoop out the other. I'm not going to remember any of this cool science shit I could pull out of my back pocket at a dinner. No, it's not sticking. So in the late 17th century, aether entered theories of gravity. Jacob Bernoulli suggested that the hardiness of bodies depended on aether's presence, while Isaac Newton, in his Principia Mathematica in 1687, used aether to describe planetary motion. For Newton, aether was not simply empty space, but a medium that, quote, flowed downward toward Earth, absorbed and diffused in a way that explained gravity's pull. He imagined it in gradients, denser outside objects rarefied within them, so that particles of aether behaved almost like water vapor, condensing back toward one another to create attraction. In this early model, aether provided the mechanism of action where distance seemed impossible to explain. Newton resisted the idea of, quote, action at a distance without cause, so aether filled the gaps. He described its elasticity and circulation like a fluid, a medium capable of transmitting forces invisibly. Though Newton later abandoned this in favor of his law of motion, these aether experiments shaped the very foundation of modern physics. Gravity, as we understand it today, was first imagined as spirit, something unseen, binding everything together.
You know what that makes me think of? So he said Newton resisted the idea of action at a distance without cause, so aether filled the gap. So again, that aether, that quintessence, that brings me right back to how was Regina and Isabelle and Vincent and Jillian able to visit their loved ones at that distance, that it's that spirit element, that quintessence, that maybe astral projection.
Quintessified and
Part of that? I don't know, but that it's all making sense. So, from the ancients who spoke of aether as the clear breath of the gods, to Aristotle's celestial spheres of unchanging substance, to the alchemists who sought quintessence in elixirs and distillations, and even to Newton, Einstein, and modern theories of dark energy, human beings have always reached for a fifth element, an unseen medium to explain how the universe holds together, whether imagined as whirlpools transmitting light, a fluid binding planet, or a force subtler than light itself. Aether was a name given that we gave to the invisible. Though science has since abandoned the word, the longing it represents remains. The intuition that there is something beyond the tangible four, something unmeasurable yet undeniably present. And it's here that practical magic enters the conversation. And practical magic enters the chat. The film and novels give us spirit not as an abstract principle, but as a lived inheritance. The Owens family shows us how spirit flows through bloodlines, grief, love, community. And just as Newton once refused to believe in, quote, action at a distance without a medium, Hoffman's world insists that bonds, curses, and love itself cannot act across time and space without spirit as the binding thread, right? Basically what I was just pondering. Spirit is what lingers in Maria Owens's curse, what clings like smoke in Jimmy's ghost, and what haunts Sally and Jillian in the absence of their mother, and what rises in the exorcism circle when the women of the town finally come together to banish Jimmy's stank-ass spirit back to the grave. It's also what distills down to its purest form in the sisters' blood oath, the quintessence of their story. My blood, your blood, our blood, right? In this way, practical magic offers its own theory of quintessence, not a substance of the stars, nor an obsolete scientific model, but the same eternal truth those earlier seekers were circling, that there is something invisible and enduring that connects us and heals us and binds us across generations. And while the film and novels give us spirit through story, witches and practitioners also know spirit as an element honored in ritual. Unlike earth, air, fire, or water, spirit is not represented by a physical tool or substance. Instead, it is invoked through presence, intention, and connection. The center or above in the circle, the element that unifies the others, right? Like, why do we raise our hands to the sky, right? We're trying to connect with something unseen, you know? It's not in our ritual smoke, right? Which maybe that people may think that's the, you know, spirit. Maybe it is a tether. Like when you burn like kind of smoke in a ritual, maybe that smoke reaching up to the heavens, maybe that is a tether between the physical realm and the astral realm, and it connects the two. Just the theory.
Yeah.
In ritual practice, spirit is the element called upon to bind the work together, to open the way between the material and the unseen.
I like your idea with the smoke. It's physical, but it's not. You can't catch it in your hand.
Right.
Catch it maybe in a jar, but like that's a cool way to think of how we connect with quintessence. So cool.
That would be a cool like smoke from incense or like a sage wand or something, like traveling off into the quote ether. That I guess that's where that term comes from, into the ether, because it's something that you can't see, you don't know if it really exists or not. Like, but it is our connection to the divine, something that is unseen.
It has so many layered synonyms that go with it, because it's not just so spirit is not just ghosts, it's not just the ether, it's everything in between. Like they're saying, it's all the little spaces in between.
That Dave Matthews song, remember that song? The space between?
Sing to me.
He just goes, the space between.
I can't with his voice. I'm sorry.
I did like that song, like back when it came out. Like it was constantly in my I was gonna say it was not on my playlist, it was in my CD player, in the physical CD player, not in the musical ether. Because like if you think about like Spotify and like iTunes, it's kind of like a digital ether. Like it's not a physical form, right?
That made me think of the cutest thing. Before my grandpa passed away and we were working on his book together, I probably said this on here, but I had my computer and was sitting with him and I was trying to find something. And I was like, sorry, Dada, I don't know. I saved it here. He's like, did you check the cloud? Did you save it in the cloud? He's 90 something. I was dying. I was like, how do you know about the cloud?
Fucking hysterical. Yo, my grandmother, my 90, how old is she now? She's probably like, she's like 90. She'll be 91 this year.
Wow.
I think, last year was her 90th we celebrated.
Oh.
91. She scrolls Facebook. She's got a smartphone. She scrolls Facebook. She will put herself in the corner of like a party going on, and she will just sit there, and you'll see her like this. She'll use her whole arm to scroll. It's so cute. It's so
That's
funny.
adorable. Spend all the time with her you can.
I know, but anyway.
Okay, how is spirit invoked and how is it honored in ritual? So, spirit is often invoked in meditation, candle work, or chanting, especially with using white candles or lighting incense. For example, some practices suggest lighting a white candle while chanting to connect with spirit or ether. In circle casting, spirit is honored as the element that unifies after calling earth, air, fire, and water. Spirit is called to sit at the center or above, or as the binding force that connects the others. It may be called as the fifth element or as Akasha. In ancient India, the term Akasha arose to describe this fifth element, while its name has been used in more popular culture and works of fiction to represent a mother goddess. The word Akasha simply means space or ether in Sanskrit. It is derived from the root kash, meaning to be. Traditional translations of Akasha speak of the sky or atmosphere, while more detailed interpretations in Vedic Sanskrit have referred to the open space or vacuity. Over time, in Vedic philosophy, Akasha came to be an ethereal fluid that was imagined pervading all of the cosmos. Ritual invocations may include poetic or musical components to evoke the unseen, flutes, drumming, or sound in some traditions to help participants sense spirit's presence. You said something a long time ago. I don't know what we were talking about, but we were talking about birds and their song and like to answer the bird call. And you don't have to answer with mimicking the bird's call. You can sing back to them. That in a way is like spirit communicating. On some level, you're communicating spiritually. And I love that because the other day I sent you a picture. I was up on the roof and doing the molding or whatever. And this bird was just singing this most beautiful song. And I was like, I'm going to do what Justina suggested. So I'll start singing back to it.
Yeah, there was a girl I saw on TikTok, and she was just like noodling on the guitar, just picking like a picking pattern. And a bird was actually singing along in key with her guitar picking. It was the most fascinating thing. So there are ways, like get into with your inner Snow White, okay?
Yes.
And you talk to those animals on your property, in your, vicinity.
Yes.
And you just get to connect with the lands in a more spiritual way. I think that is so fascinating to be able. I mean, we speak different languages, animals and humans, but we can meet somewhere in the middle, in that quintessence, in that liminal language space. Like, we understand each other. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, you probably talk to your cats and your dog, and they understand you, right?
Yeah.
They understand you, or you just give them the look. You're like, don't do it. And they know, like, you don't, it's like an unspoken thing. There's some way that we're able to talk to animals. And I think that's the coolest thing, even though we're on like different wavelengths,
vibrating on a different quintessent level.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the center corresponds to that elemental spirit, ether or force, and it represents the deep self and harmonic resonance with the other two layers of the human soul, namely the talking self and the fetch.
Gretchen Wieners. Stop trying to make fetch happen.
It is that which connects the directions at the center, immanence, transcendence, and life which survives death. Its colors are violet, which we don't hear too often, but I guess like the crown, the third eye,
right?
White or black, and its tool is the cauldron, symbol of transformation. So when calling this in, that final element, you could say, as above, so below, as within, so without, 4 stars in this place be, combined to call the fifth to me, circumference and center, woven together to make the circle complete. The colors again are white, sometimes gold or violet. These colors are thought to represent purity. All colors combine, or a transcendent quality. I think whatever color calls to you, use that.
Clear.
Clear. Yeah. Right? That makes me think of, you ever watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
No.
He has to answer like the question from the wizard at the end, and like the last question is, what's your favorite color? He goes, blue. No, clear.
Yeah, because like, what exactly is clear? I don't know, but I would imagine that if contestants or ether had a color and it's all encompassing, it would be clear. Like, it wouldn't have a color,
be
right? Spirit is invisible. I don't know.
Yeah. The alchemical symbol is just a open circle, so just the outline, the circumference of a circle. The platonic solid is a decahedron, so deca like a 10-sided, I think, die. Think of like Dungeons and Dragons,
Oh yeah,
or
it does
like
kind of look like
the
a dice.
crystal that Aaron picked out, whatever the stone that Aaron picked out. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
didn't we say he had a what's it called?
a Tesla truck,
Car. Yeah, the
the Tesla trucks
Tesla
of
crystal.
stones.
So funny.
In many Wiccan and neo-pagan and modern witchcraft traditions, practitioners will, quote, call the quarters, which means invoking the guardians or elemental forces of these four directional elements. So earth is north, air is east, fire is south, and water is west. We've just done our whole complete series. And
Yes.
rounding that out is spirit, which it often comes after. It's the element that unifies the circle, fills the center, or caps the ritual once all four elements have been called. Some traditions even place spirit above as the connection to source or the divine. Calling the quarters isn't just for show, it's about structure and balance. It helps create the sacred space, provide protection, and stabilize energy so the ritual can flow. Spirit's role here is to unify all those forces, to tie the work together so that it becomes whole. In spellwork, spirit carries its own strength. It also represents connection, unity, will, intention, generosity, and the sacred. This is the element we lean into when reaching out to ancestors, when working for healing, and when seeking spiritual insight and vision, because spirit is intangible but all-encompassing. Like that duality, the dichotomy there is tangible, intangible, but all-encompassing.
Right.
It frequently acts as the binding force, tying the other elements together, sealing the pact or oath, and sanctifying the space itself. Think about spells for love, memory, soul healing, or long-term magical bonds. Spirit is usually front and center in that work. Spirit also appears in divination, in dream work, and mystical experiences, anywhere we cross that threshold between the seen and unseen. And that is really what makes spirit such a powerful conclusion to our elemental series. And when calling them in, it may also be the one we can't touch, but it's the one we feel in our bones, and it's the one that makes the circle complete.
I like how we're capping off our elemental series with this one,
In
especially
spooky
as
season.
we've ventured closer to the thinning of the veil. We're in the heart of spooky season now, and in a couple weeks, and we're going to talk more about our ancestor veneration and how we can do things that kind of like, I guess, bridge the gaps between the spiritual realm and wherever they're hanging out now, our ancestors in the ether, right?
Boost that.
And the physical plane. And also, we're going to talk about necromancy too in a couple. We have a spooky couple weeks coming up. It's
I
gonna
like
be
that.
gonna be a good time. So I think this is the perfect time to talk about spirit. Rolling off onto tarot correspondences and where spirit or the fifth element might sit in the tarot, in the realm of the tarot. So spirit as the fifth element, quintessence, ether, etc., doesn't have a suit of its own in traditional tarot systems, but there are ways that practitioners use spirit correspondences, overlaying or bridging them. Here are some ideas and common practices. So spirit can be seen as an overarching or transcendent, like working above or beyond the four suits. When many cards from different suits appear, spirit might be interpreted as the theme of connection, integration, or a purpose that pulls them together. Some
That makes
folks
me think if you're doing a poll, Caitlin will do this sometimes, but she'll pull her cards, but then she'll pull from the bottom of the deck,
clarifier card.
like a clarifier card, but you could do the top and the bottom.
Oh,
That's the spirit that's holding everything together. So that is maybe your message directly from spirit.
I like that.
It's
I
just
never
an
thought.
idea.
Yeah, I've done the clarifier card, but I never thought to do that, like pulling from the bottom and the top, like that glue that holds everything together in the deck. That is interesting. Some folks might associate spirit with the major arcana more than a suit. So since the majors often deal with universal or transcendental themes like fate, soul path, transformation, etc., but in readings of the minor arcana, spirit can appear in court cards or in aces as an invitation to greater awareness, intention, or spiritual connection. If one were to pick a quote shadow and strength card of spirit in tarot readings, strength of spirit might be in binding, healing, wholeness, vision, courage, and connection, and shadow might be in denial of material reality, spiritual bypassing, like ignoring the four elements in favor of just feeling higher, or neglecting grounding needs or floating without structure. So if you're sitting heavy in your shadow, you might not feel as grounded, but it's all about the balance, baby, right? right?
Mhm.
So when we talk about spirit in tarot, it doesn't really belong to any one of the four minor arcana suits. Instead, spirit often shows up in the major arcana, those big archetypal cards that represent universal truths and soul lessons. These are the cards that remind us of quintessence, the unseen force that ties everything together. Take the Fool, for example, the very first card of the major arcana. It's pure potential, that leap of faith into the unknown, innocence untouched by fear or doubt. That's spirit before it takes on any earthly form. Then we have the Magician. This is the bridge between spirit and matter. On his table, you see all four elemental tools, the wand, the sword, the cup, the pentacle, and he channels them through willpower. He raises an arm pointed to the heavens while the other hand points down to the earth, as above, so below. I think the Baphomet statue also does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
The Magician embodies spirit's ability to manifest through us, physical beings. The High Priestess carries spirit inward. She sits between two pillars, right, light and dark, holding the secrets of the unseen. She's got the book of the Torah, I'm pretty sure. With her, spirit is about intuition, mystery, and the deep wisdom that you can't quite put into words. And she reminds us that spirit isn't always about action. Sometimes it's about stillness and listening. And she's all about the divine feminine. And then moving forward, the Hermit takes spirit on a solitary path. He holds up a lantern in the darkness, showing how spirit lights the way when we step away from noise and distraction. And his energy is all about inner guidance and the pursuit of seeking inner truth. And the Hermit's like a really good card to kind of hone in on the energies right now, especially when we venture from the lighter part of the year as we venture toward the darker part of the year now. He kind of is that illumination through that darkness. And it's a time of introspection now. So now is the time to like go inward. Right? We're not as outside anymore. We're inside doing all the cozy things, but now is also a good time to focus more on that shadow work.
Yeah, pursue the seeking of the inner truth.
Exactly. And then there's the Star. After the tower falls, after destruction and upheaval, the Star brings hope. We did a 2-part Star episode. Go check those out. It's the card of renewal, healing, divine inspiration, the spirit shine bright like a diamond. Spirit shining like a starlight when everything else feels broken. And again, that star bringing back to that pentacle, right? The pentagram, earth, air, fire, water, and that spirit sitting
our
right at
star
the top.
episode really 2 parts?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, we deep dived on that because it's a lot about Gary, and we also, I think we deep dived a little bit more on the tarot on that episode too, pretty sure. And finally we reached Judgment. We just passed the rapture. That was supposed to happen 2 days ago, and
That was so funny. Yeah.
the rapture. So this card is all about the spirit as awakening, the call to rise, to transform, to answer to a higher purpose. And in this imagery, figures rise from their graves to the sound of a trumpet. It's spirit as resurrection, as reckoning, as soul remembering why it came here in the first place.
All those people blowing their trumpets that morning. Amazing. Y'all are doing God's work.
Excellent use of free will. I was also seeing people just putting their clothes on the driveway.
Clothes. Somebody else was
just got beamed up.
Somebody else was filling a blow-up doll with helium.
Oh,
they were sending a blow-up doll into space.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about, I think I know what you're talking about. It was a clip from one of the intros to an episode of 6 Feet Under.
I don't know. I just heard them talking about it. I heard that like a
Okay.
husband and wife talking about doing that.
Yeah. There's an actual episode of 6 Feet Under where there's this Jesus woman, right? And I think she gets hit by a car or something because she runs into the street looking at all the helium dolls floating to the sky because she thinks she's getting raptured.
That's so funny.
She gets hit by a car because she just
Wow.
Yeah. Every episode of 6 Feet Under opens with somebody dying, and that was one of the deaths.
I want to watch that show. It looks
the
cute.
Rapture. Amazing show. If you're a Michael C. Hall fan, awesome show. Dexter, Dexter.
Yeah. I gotta check it out.
He's in 6 Feet Under. He's one of the brothers. Such a good show. But yeah, the Rapture, little crazy concept, but very entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah, and together, going back to the tarot, these major arcana cards they show us different faces of spirit. The fool's innocence, the magician's will, and his alchemy, right? The high priestess's mystery, the hermit's wisdom and inner truth, the star's renewal, and judgment's awakening. There's so many more major arcana cards that, we're not going to get into, but I'm sure you can find little threads throughout each one if you look hard enough, if you want to go down your own rabbit hole. Each one is a reminder that spirit is the binding thread, the quintessence that connects us to the divine, to each other, and to ourselves, and our own inner knowing, right? While the suit of cups is water, the ace, especially when upright, can symbolize new emotional feelings, spirituality, and the connection to intuition. I've heard generally the ace cards in general are like kind of like a sudden manifestation of like spiritual energy.
Okay.
And depending on what the suit is, that kind of dictates what kind of energy that's going to be. Like if it's Ace of Cups, then it's like a new love interest, or like Ace of Wands, like a new project is going to come about. Ace of Pentacles, maybe a new job, or like
money.
Exactly. Or Ace of Swords, maybe a new thought will arise and you haven't yet started to manifest it, but it's just like a spark of an idea, like Christina's moment before she texted me and she was like, let's write practical magic music. That was your Ace of Swords moment right there.
I like that. Yeah.
Gemini, right? Ruled by the swords right there. So you're the thoughts and I'm the execution, the Ace of Wands. Right. Exactly. So those all kind of carry that spark of quintessence, right? Of the Ace Cups. The suit of Wands, often associated with fire. The suit of Wands can symbolize the spiritual life, personal energy, and core consciousness. This says some specialized tarot decks may include a fifth element. I haven't seen it often, as we just took a peek through Joseph's deck. He's got the 4. Most tarot decks don't include the 5th. So I was curious because this was saying that some tarot decks, specialized tarot decks, might include a 5th element with specific symbols and card distributions to represent it. So I was like, what decks are these? I've never even heard of these decks. So the primary example of a deck using spirit as a 5th element is the 5th Spirit Tarot. However, other decks like the Thoth Tarot incorporate the concept of a 5th element in more esoteric ways. So the 5th Spirit Tarot, this was created by Charlie Claire Burgess. This is explicitly based on the concept of spirit as a 5th element, all-encompassing element that binds the others together. The deck uses this idea to reimagine tarot from a queer, non-binary, and inclusive perspective. It's a 78-card deck featuring diverse hand-illustrated art. And then we have the Thoth Tarot. This is the esoteric system behind Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, and this includes the concept of a 5th element known as spirit or aether. In the Thoth system, the elements of fire, water, earth, and air are integrated into the suit structure, but the major arcana cards represent higher concepts and principles that transcend the 4 worldly elements. A key card, the Magus, is shown with a winged egg representing the 5th element of spirit, because as we know, in the Magus, that book, all they talk about is quintessence.
Yeah,
right?
That's so cool.
Isn't it? And if we think about it, a lot of the Magus, did he take that from some of that stuff from Aleister Crowley? He took a lot from am I thinking of Agrippa? He takes a lot from other philosophers.
Well, Agrippa was pre-Magus, and Magus was turn of the century. And I think Aleister Crowley was a little later.
I think you're right, though. Yeah, I think it might have come a little later, which is interesting that the Thoth deck.
That's cool.
The system is based on Kabbalah, which relates the tarot to the tree of life. The Fool and the Universe cards together represent the entire spiritual journey, spelling ATH, meaning essence or spirit. So I'm going to check those decks out. I've heard a lot about the Thoth Tarot. I heard it's if you're a beginner to tarot, it might not be the deck for you because it's a very abstract concept.
Yeah.
If you're new to the tarot, I would stick with the Rider Waite. It's very beginner friendly and it's very image. If you're a visual person, it's easier to kind of interpret the cards off the bat, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into some astrology and zodiac connections, because spirit, being the 5th element, it often gets treated as transcendent, overreaching, uniting, or aligning with themes that go beyond any single sign. Here are how some practitioners tend to associate it with astrology. So planetary-wise archetypal associations. Spirit is often connected to the outer planets or or luminaries, or to the nodes / midpoints in astrology. Planets like Jupiter, which is expansion, higher purpose, Neptune, which is dreams, mysticism, spiritual disillusion or of boundaries, Pluto, transformation, death, and rebirth are common candidates. Also, the sun and the moon in certain configurations, like the sun being conjunct Neptune, the moon in a 12th house, etc., might manifest spirit strongly. Often connected to the divine or source in magical astrology maps, the luminaries or even the concept of quintile aspects, like having a degree like 72 degrees, or other less common ones, reflect that transcendence as well. So there's no fixed zodiac sign that's ruled by spirit in most systems. Unlike fire, air, earth, and water, there's no standard set of sign that belongs to spirit. Some modern occult or magical astrology systems try to map spirit as a transcendent sign or use composite charts like progress charts to show a spirit theme. Sometimes, quote, spirit ruled might be used metaphorically, such as signs known for spiritual insight, intuition, or higher purpose, like those like out there signs, like kind of like Pisces, very dreamy, or Aquarius, who's like the alien of, the zodiac. Sometimes said to, set to that outer limit or the border on spirit, but that's not the same as classical rulership.
You know what I just thought? You said spirit maps the spirit to a quote transcendent sign, not zodiac, unrelated to zodiac, but going back to rules of magic. Remember, we completely grazed over when Jet goes on that acid trip, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you think that acid trips or any kind of like drug induced trip or journey for that matter is linked to that spirit, that quintessence, that aether realm?
I want to do an episode on LSD. I'm not kidding.
In honor of Jet, yeah.
In honor of Jet.
Yeah, do you
good
think?
point.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, we're okay, we'll put that down on the list.
Okay.
Trip. Well, we'll go on a little journey of our
we'll Moxie Bustion to the LSD episode.
All right, moving on.
In our own homes.
Yeah.
So the spirit is often associated with the mutable qualities, like Justina and I are mutable signs.
Oh yeah, we are.
Because mutable signs represent change, transition, thresholds, movement between states. Spirit in many symbolic systems is about connection, liminality, between these states and transformation. But that is a symbolic overlay and it's not a classical rule. So there's traits, patterns, and lessons to be learned here in astrology with spirit. Based on how spirit is used symbolically, here are the patterns commonly observed. The trait or pattern, let's talk about transcendence and purpose. So what does spirit bring to this? Spirit often shows up when someone is being called beyond personal ego towards service or higher meaning, legacy, or healing. But what about the trait of vision, intuition, mysticism? Spirit brings heightened sensitivity, dreams, psychic awareness, ability to see underlying truths, sometimes struggles differentiating ordinary versus spiritual. Like my struggle right now, is this my thought or is the spirit talking to me? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, or like, am I really seeing this person or is that a ghost?
Yeah. Franny and Isabelle. Yeah.
Right.
How about the pattern of binding and connection? So spirit forming deep bonds like soul friendships, ancestral ties, community. Spirit is often about what connects across time, not just here and now.
Like me and you. Remember our past life episode?
Yeah, Celine.
Right? Celine.
Then there's the challenge of immaterial versus material. Spirit's gifts often come with the lesson of grounding, balancing spiritual insight with earthly needs like self-care, physical work, and boundaries. Then healing, renewal, and rebirth. Spirit shows it up in cycles of death, literal or metaphorical, letting go, forgiveness, rebirth, and restoration.
That death card, right?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Okay. And now let's get into some mythology, folklore, and deities. This is always the fun stuff, right? Because this is like, now we put our little magical caps on.
It all comes together.
It all comes together. Yeah. So in Greek myth, Aether, or Aether, is the primordial god or personification of the upper sky, of the bright, pure air of the god's breath, and the very substance that fills the heavens. He is the child Nyx, also called night, and Erebus, darkness. Nyx, Night 2, features importantly Mother of Aether and Day, also named Hemera, representing the shadow side that gives birth to light. Her mythic presence reminds us that spirit often emerges out of the darkness. The classical element of Aether, or quintessence, in mythological cosmology is often tied to celestial bodies, heavens, and the divine realm, fundamentally associated with light, purity, divinity, and the upper sky. In folklore, alchemical tradition, animal symbolism include the eagle as symbol of spirit, soaring and transcending earth, contrasted with the toad.
Okay.
The toad, which is heavy and earthbound, use an alchemical imagery of purification or ascent.
I would also say the crow / raven that we just talked about as spirit.
Right, and both heavily portrayed in practical magic in that whole world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then talking about plant and vegetal. It sounds like I'm saying vaginal. Plant or vegetal folklore. The idea of plant devas, or nature spirits. I'm pretty sure deva in Hindu is God, right? Plant devas or nature spirits in many mystical esoteric traditions. These are spirits of plants that embody their qualities, like growth, healing, and invisibly alive. They're sometimes associated with etheric or spiritual realms. Alchemy regards quintessence, also known as ether or spirit, as the purest substance, more refined than the four material elements. It is used in medicinal alchemy, elixirs, remedies, as that which purifies and elevates matter toward spirit. It is sometimes said that the distillation process, like alcohol, repeated many times, leads toward the extraction of quintessence, not just physically, but spiritually, refining out the dross to leave the pure. Animal symbolic contrasts in alchemy, like eagles as spirit versus toads as earth element weight, used to show the inner alchemical work of lifting the spirit from the heavy base elements.
As far as like our esoteric and occult systems, in 1995, Scott Cunningham used the ether to describe the element of spirit and proposed that all of the other elements descended from it. And he wasn't alone, as many pagans interpret the fifth element as Akasha to be a combination of earth, air, fire, and water. Without Akasha, they believe that there would be nothing else. No earth, no spirit, no magic. Using these 5 elements, pagan practitioners work to direct their will to make changes. And these changes may be for the earth herself or for the individual practitioner. In either case, Akasha is harnessed in order to alter the current path of reality. Through Akasha, practitioners are able to balance their mental and physical health using meditation, ritual, and mindfulness.
So for practitioners of metaphysical healing and crystal work, the element of spirit, as you know, Aether, Akasha, or the fifth element, represents the connecting force of the universe and the essence of spiritual energy. Crystals aligned with this element are often used to enhance spiritual connection, psychic abilities, and higher consciousness. Obviously, spirit quartz, also known as cactus quartz, did not know that. This is a high vibration stone that is essentially a main quartz crystal covered with smaller crystals, and it works to connect and balance all the chakras, grounds the body while engaging the inner spirit, and is a powerful tool for meditation and healing. And then we have clear quartz. This is like known as, right, the master healer, the one stone fits all type deal. It's aligned with all the elements, and it is a powerful spiritual amplifier. It can clear communication pathways to the spirit realm, amplify energy, and help clear blockages within your chakras. And then we have amethyst, one of my favorites, a stone of spiritual awareness, intuition, and psychic protection. It's known for its calming vibration, which can lull you into a deep meditative state and open the third eye and crown chakras to help receive divine messages. I like to use amethyst like on my bedside or in the bath because like it's a very watery. It's purple, but I mean if it's associated with those like divine messages,
it's dreamy.
It's very dreamy, very much in line with the water element as well. I feel like.
Agreed. Yeah, because water is the conduit.
Exactly.
For message.
And then we have selenite, a high vibration crystal named after Selene. Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon. It is used for purification, energetic cleansing, and connecting with angelic and divine realms. Just don't put this near water because that will dissolve, right?
So fuck it up.
Yeah, exactly. Selenite will dissolve in water, so just be mindful. Don't use that during your bath time rituals. And then we have labradorite, a stone of magic and self-discovery with a luminous flash of color known as Labrador evanescence.
Yep, that's it.
Labradorescence, like if your dog started a metal band.
Nice.
It is believed to create a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms and enhance psychic abilities. I feel like a lot of these are going to be, geared toward the psychic abilities. Then this next one is kind of controversial on TikTok, I know, in the social media sphere. Moldavite. Have you heard of the Moldavite?
I've heard it will change your life,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the controversy is. Do you?
Neither do I quite. Like, I heard that's like if you're not ready for your life to be like turned completely upside down, then you don't want to fuck with it.
Kind of like Hecate or Hecate. You don't want
don't
to, you
want-
gotta be sure you're getting into what you're getting into.
Exactly. Like what Sally says to Jillian, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Right?
Absolutely.
So you have to be pretty sure you want to fuck with this shit. So Moldavite is a tektite natural glass from. Okay, so this is natural glass from a meteorite. That's what.
Did you see the TikTok I sent you? A guy broke down the science behind why that little alien-looking void thing moves.
Okay, why?
It's like gases mixed with chemical. Like
Okay.
it's a reaction that makes it look like it's breathing and twitching and moving. You have to
Okay.
watch it.
So it's not really an alien about to take over the world.
I'm gonna keep telling myself it's not.
Okay.
I really hope it's not.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Thank you for I'm gonna check out the video. Thank you for the science, because I know like we see these things on social media, we're like, oh my God.
Terrifying.
Right, it is terrifying. I mean, even if there is a scientific explanation, that's still fucking terrifying, Right, okay,
Agreed.
so natural glass from a meteorite is what moldavite is. And this is a tektite with an extremely high vibration that is prized for its ability to accelerate spiritual evolution. I guess that's why they say if you're not ready for your life to be turned upside down, then this shit's gonna knock you on your spiritual ass, it
Right.
seems like, right?
Yeah.
So especially like I guess if like you haven't done a lot of shadow work and like you have a lot of stuff still buried deep down below and you're trying to use this shit, I don't see how that's gonna turn out good.
It's like you're supposed to be dip your toe in the shadow work, be like very gentle, like a little archaeologist with your paintbrush at first. This is
Right.
like dynamiting and TNTing, your darkness, your dark side, your shadow
Yes,
work.
that's exactly what I'm envisioning too. So it helps open channels for communication with high vibrational spiritual allies and can cut through psychic quote white noise. But I'm sure like if you're not already enlightened, this is gonna fuck you up.
Yeah. Let us know if you've had an experience with Moldavite. I want to know what the discourse is around that.
Right. Yeah, I have definitely also have heard some bad things about it. So I am a little put off by it. But I guess if you're an experienced crystal user, have at it. At least do your
More
research.
power to you.
Do your research, right? And then we have celestite, a tranquil blue crystal that is excellent for angelic communication. It promotes peaceful states of mind and is associated with dream recall and accessing higher awareness. And we have lapis lazuli, an ancient stone of wisdom and truth. It helps to activate the third eye and the throat chakras, facilitating communication with spirit guides and accessing inner knowing. And we have danbarite. I've never heard of that before. Have you heard of
Sounds
danbarite?
like a hospital, like the Danbarite Hospital or something. I don't
Danbarite
know.
Hospital, known for assisting with enlightenment and communication with angelic and divine beings, also said to help with stress relief and emotional healing. And then another one that I've never heard of, spodumene,
Bodamine, okay.
includes the varieties kunzite and hiddenite. It is associated with high vibrational energy that encourages spiritual love, peace, and community.
I've never heard of that one. I know
Right.
nothing about stones and crystals. I like to collect them.
I know the very basic ones. I'm a very basic crystal user, and like I don't even know if I necessarily use them to their fullest potential. I use them next to my bed for dream stuff. I use them in like are surrounding my bathtub when I'm doing my bath magic and in my bath.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure there's a lot more you can do with them that I'm just like not even scraping the surface,
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I keep the energies by the bed. I carry an amethyst on my motorcycle keys and a citrine on my car keys, like in one of
Yeah.
those little cages. But like, why? I don't know, because
Right.
it looks cool. The citrine makes me so happy, and I like that it's with me all the time.
I'm glad I got you a little heart one you could fit in your wallet or your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta find that
Good.
bag. All
Glad
my
that-
goodies. Thank you so much.
happy. You're welcome so much.
I will tell you about something I do know. Oibs. Oibs and
Same.
oils and plant allies.
Same.
Okay.
I'm in the same, but we're cut from the same cloth, right?
That's right. Like the cut of your jib. Okay. So oils, herbs, plant allies associated with the element of spirit include mugwort, rosemary, lavender, chamomile, valerian, basil, angelica, used for spiritual protection, divination, enhancing awareness, and connecting to the divine. These plants serve as allies in the spiritual practices, helping to clear those negative energies, foster inner peace, and provide a gateway to expand the consciousness. Some other ones include frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood, parsley, blue lotus, vervain, which we had a whole episode on, also known as verbena, and hyssop. So these herbs are used to enhance spiritual practices like meditation and communication with the divine, promote clarity, and purify sacred spaces. We're going to go through some of these that we mentioned, but Justina, do you have any that you feel that we didn't mention that connect you with spirit? I don't, unless I really think about it.
Yeah, I can't really think too off the top of my head right now. I feel like this is most of the ones. Yeah, maybe did it say rosemary? Yeah, rosemary. Yeah, like the lavender. I like rose petal. I really love rose. I love using roses in all of my shit.
Okay, so I read basil, but I didn't read holy basil,
Holy
also
basil.
known as tulsi, which I grow and it grows like crazy. I did
Does
not
it?
know that. Yes, I think
Okay.
it reseeds like a motherfucker. It will
Right.
take over, but the bees love it and it smells amazing and it hits these purple flowers. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Speaking of the Tulsi, and I was just talking about the roses, there's a tea that I had or have still somewhere around here. Smells so freaking good. So
Awesome.
good.
I'll have to
It's
send you some. I will drive some and
okay.
send some tulsi to you.
All right. Sweet.
Let's start with Angelica. So often called the herb of angels or herb of the Holy Spirit, Angelica is recognized for its communication to spirit energy and healing. Then Tulsi or holy basil is a sacred plant in Hinduism. Often called the queen of herbs, it is revered for its ability to bring clarity, divinity, and compassion, facilitating spiritual connection. I think it's good for other like internal shit.
Okay.
You can, I guess, apparently have it in a tea. So
Yeah.
take it internally. The
Yep.
next one you want to be careful with is mugwort. Used to enhance psychic abilities and spiritual connection, it plays a role in rituals for divine communication and ancestral healing. Then we have frankincense and myrrh. These resins are commonly burned as incense in sacred spaces to aid in spiritual ritual and facilitate a connection to higher spiritual realms. We have sandalwood, which smells so good, known for its use in spiritual practices. It helps activate the chakras and facilitate connection to higher consciousnesses. Consciousness.
Conscious Nye.
Bill Nye the Conscious Guy.
Bill Nye the Conscious Nye.
And parsley associated with communication with spirits. I love the shape of a parsley leaf. It's so fun. Yeah. Also used for good luck, purification, and cleansing. Then we have the white lotus, the blue lotus. Blue lotus is another herb used in spiritual practices to connect with the divine and facilitate communication with spirit. Vervain, called the herb of spells or sacred herb, used in ancient religious ceremonies, highlights its magical and spiritual properties.
Used to stanch Jesus' wounds. Right?
Hyssop is mentioned in the Bible. Hyssop was used in spiritual purification rituals to cleanse both the physical and spiritual bodies. And lastly, rosemary for remembrance. Definitely a good time to use that during spooky month when we're trying to do ancestor veneration. I'm sure this will come back up in a couple weeks when we talk about our ancestors. But no, it's known for purifying and enhancing memory and clarity and enhancing those spiritual forces.
Didn't they say it's also used for exorcisms, right? Didn't
Yeah.
they also use it for exorcisms? It's
Exorcisms.
good for everything.
You can fake a levitation.
You can't fake, wait.
You can fake an exorcism.
You can't fake a levitation.
There it is.
David
Levitation
Blaine.
homes. David
All
Blaine.
right. Okay, now moving on to the chakras. Chakra Khan and the areas of the body associated. So the crown chakra, the element of spirit is represented by the crown chakra. Surprise, surprise, right? Also known as Sahasrara. That's such a weird rah. It is located at or just above the very top of the head. In traditional chakra systems, the crown chakra is the seventh and highest energy center, often considered the most spiritual of all the chakras. Some sources describe its element as pure spirit, thought, or divine consciousness rather than a physical element. It is the meeting point of individual and universal consciousness. It is said to influence the cerebral cortex, the brainstem, the pineal gland, and the entire nervous system. And the pineal gland, isn't that what like the cats, they say that like the cats have like a widened pineal gland, that's why they're so susceptible to like spirits and
connection. Sure.
seeing like, you know, entities and things that we can't see.
Can that be so with the pineal gland, is that something that can be measured? Like that's a thing. Like that's like a real thing in your brain that can be measured?
Is that your third eye, the pineal gland? Where
Girl,
is
I just work here.
Where's the pineal gland? Okay, so the pineal gland is a small pea-sized endocrine gland located deep in the center of the brain, in the epithalamus, okay?
Uh-huh.
It sits in the midline between the two cerebral hemispheres, just behind the thalamus, and attached to the roof of the third ventricle by a short stalk.
There she is.
I'm trying to get a picture of what this looks like. Okay, wait. Is the pineal gland the third eye? Okay, so yes, this is saying the pineal gland is often referred to as the third eye in spiritual and mystical traditions. However, from a scientific perspective, this is not a literal interpretation. So, all right, check out that picture I put in the chat. So you see how...
It's right there in the middle. Got it.
Yeah, but it's like set behind, like it's not actually in between your eyes. It's in your brain, but it's set back like just between, I guess, between the eyes, but set back into your brain, it looks like.
When they do a lobotomy, what
Yeah.
are they scrambling?
What are they doing in there? When they do a lobotomy,
What are they scrambling?
what are they doing? Lobotomies, they intentionally damage the white matter fibers connecting the frontal lobes of the brain to the rest of the brain.
Okay.
So yeah, they drill they drill into your skull with an ice pick like instrument, pass through the eye sockets.
Yeah.
Which, mind you, back in the day, they used to do that to people, like
No
people
anesthetic.
with mental illnesses that they were trying to like, I don't know, I guess figure out what was wrong with it. I don't know why the fuck they would do that to people.
But no anesthetic.
No anesthetic, right? Yeah, it was just what I was trying to say. Fucked up, so fucked up. Anyway, but yeah, that's where basically the pineal gland is located.
Okay.
And that's what they say, that cats like have like a very open pineal gland. That's why they can see all the shit that we can't.
Got it.
Spiritual representation, universal connection. It represents your direct link to the universe, universal consciousness, or a higher power. When the chakra is open and balanced, it brings a deep sense of peace, wisdom, and spiritual clarity, and it is believed to be the gateway for your earthly self to merge with your higher self. While the crown chakra is associated with spirit, another upper chakra is sometimes connected to a more foundational spiritual element, ether or space. Then
Another chakra?
now we have the throat chakra,
Oh.
the Vishuddha. In some traditions, the fifth chakra, located in the throat, is associated with the element of ether or space. This chakra governs communication and self-expression.
So let's chat about balance and imbalance in reference to the element of spirit. When the spiritual element is in harmony, it fosters a profound sense of connection, inner peace, and purpose. Feeling that strong sense of purpose, you have a clear understanding of your path and a deep-seated meaning in your life. Your intuition is sharp and you can easily discern between what is true and what is not. You trust your inner wisdom to guide your decisions. Having that balanced spiritual element, you might feel a deep connection to the universe or a higher power or a universal life force. You can be fully present in the moment rather than being lost in anxious overthinking or constantly worrying. I need some work with my spirit element. That's a fact. You experience inner calm and resilience, providing strength during uncertainty. You recognize the interconnectedness of all things and experience a sense of unity with others and the natural world. If it's imbalanced, this occurs when the spiritual element is undernourished, causing one to feel cut off from a higher purpose or source of meaning. You're going to feel that lack of purpose or feeling like spiritually dead, resigned, or purposeless. This feeling of purposeless can set in, leading to a sense of worthlessness. You may struggle to hear your inner voice or feel out of touch with your spiritual self, making it difficult to trust your gut instincts. You may have this feeling of being lost, isolated, or stagnant in your personal or spiritual growth, or you may neglect your physical or emotional needs due to lack of connection with deeper self. If this is the case, if you're feeling like this, consult your doctor first and then incorporate the spiritual element as like an extra, okay? Yeah.
And maybe, hold off the Moldavite for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
not.
If you have too much of the spiritual element, this can manifest in your life like constantly overthinking, excessively busy or overactive mind, leading to overanalysis of day-to-day situations. Maybe I do have an abundance of spirit.
Maybe.
And the inability to be present. Okay, so you might become overly critical of yourself or others, or judging daily life situations instead of simply living them. You might have a tendency to live too much in the realm of theory, becoming detached or withdrawn from practical everyday life and human connection. Or you could, be using the spirituality to mask this pain, attempting to use spiritual concepts as a way to avoid dealing with emotional or physical pain rather than seeking that holistic balance or professional help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are some practices that you can do for healing or attunement, and I guess balancing that out. So here's a little bit of an introduction to elemental attunement. So many people split the world into those 4 basic elements: the earth, air, fire, water. However, the 5th, that element of spirit, how do we balance? How do we get that into the mix and then balance all that out, right? So these elements have been foundational in Egyptian mythologies, tarot, astrology, and various religions. They're also thought to be connected to the Earth's seasons and can impact the balance within a circle or a 5-pointed star. The introduction of these 4 elements is credited to Sicilian philosopher Empedocles in the 5th century BCE. The concept of the 4 elements was later taught by the philosopher Aristotle in ancient Greece. He also played a role in the introduction of the 5th element, spirit. Notably, his theory and use of the element spirit differs from that of the other 4 elements, which occur naturally. So one simple and helpful ritual to practice balancing and grounding is to light a candle. Very simple, right? This is great. This is a great starting ritual for connecting oneself to the elements because it includes all 4 of the base elements and potentially even spirit. For the sake of this exercise, take a candle, and any candle will do. Hold it in your hands and focus your intentions on the candle. Do you have a prayer or a simple request? If so, note that you have already introduced the element of spirit into the exercise. Now, as you hold the candle in your hands, pay attention to its solid form. The hard wax candle is representative of the earth. Now, light your candle. Bring the element of fire up to the wick and watch it begin burning. Then, if you place your hand a few inches above the flame, you'll feel the element of air as you identify the energy being released in the form of heat. Lastly, take note of the wax melting and beginning to pool like a small pond. This is the element of water, the liquid, right? So why is this elemental attunement? Why does this matter? Well, in each person, there's a balance of the elements. Our physical existence is the element of earth. Our emotions and compassions are associated with the water, while our intellect and creativity are connected with the element of air. And finally, our passion and our motivation are linked to the element of fire. Cultivating your ability to see the world in terms of the elements can help you discover divine balance. When you have a sense of the 4 basic energies, you will lead a more balanced life. If you're feeling a little lethargic and unmotivated, you might realize that your fire is lower than it should be. Perhaps a day at the beach, under the sun, or some time in front of the fireplace will help warm your soul and restore the balance. Likewise, if you're having an emotional day filled with tears and sadness, and it's possible that your water energy is running a little high. So taking on an inspiring creative project such as painting or crafting could introduce a little air energy into your life. I always associated painting or crafting as fire. That's fire to me.
Oh, okay.
Like creating, like doing a
Yeah.
creative project, that's my passion. So that's always fire to me. But it could be different for other people.
Maybe they're trying to bring that balance. You have too much water, so you need to introduce a little bit of fire to like bring that down just a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're in this emotional space, that having that creative fire could balance you out emotionally.
Okay. And then it says carry away some of the heavy water that's getting you down. So yeah. So all that matters, balance yourself out.
Balance yourself out.
Get yourself a craft project and a pumpkin cider and you're good. Right? And then just it'll be fine the next day,
Yeah.
Sometimes. Sometimes. Sometimes we're having a week or a month or a year, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We all go through those rough bouts, but take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. Just take
It's
care
all
of yourself.
so temporary.
I
That's
know.
what I always say.
Right. Okay. Tell us about some daily practices and how we can integrate the elements.
Sure. So to embody the spirit element, engage in mindful breathing, meditation, or journaling to connect your intuition and higher self. Create a sacred space for ritual and acknowledge beauty, gratitude, and synchronicities in your everyday life. Trust your inner guidance, act on your intuition, and integrate spirit into your daily activities by dance, listening to music that just gets you going, or using colors you love. You know, this says calming colors, but I say whatever drives your spirit.
You know, some people will be, you know, calmed by bright ass magenta pink. That's not me.
Yeah. My boss's office is like blood red.
Oh my
Have I
God.
marcoed you from there? I'm like, how can
No.
you work in here?
No.
It's pretty dark. Anyway.
See, like my office is like a light baby pink, and I don't consider this calming. I consider this like my inspiring mood. Like I come in here
Energizing.
to create. It energizes me, right? But when I'm in my bedroom or I'm in my TV room, my TV room is very earthy, very muted tones. Like I want to feel calm in there. I want to be able to relax.
Yes.
So different rooms have different intentions. So maybe paint your rooms with the intention that you have for that room, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Color
Sure.
theory. Check out our episode, 2-parter.
Coraline says yes, right?
Coraline.
Yeah. Okay.
So the mindful breathing, take a few moments to focus on your breath, increase awareness, and bring yourself to the present moment. This could even be while you are driving. It is so easy to just get distracted by driving and you're not even thinking about your breathing. And this might not be a bad time to use that to remain calm in that fucking traffic nightmare that we all have to sit through daily.
Yeah.
Meditation, sit in silence, or sacred music to quiet your mind, receive insights from your higher self. My meditation happens when I go to the woods with the dog daily. Like we just take a ride through the woods on the cart, and so interesting to hear all the wildlife and the trees. We'll stop if the trees start rustling, or if we hear something, we just stop and let it come to us. And I'm just just so blessed with this
You really
nature
are.
around me. We see new things every day. I'm noticing all the crows now, and I'm like, that's a crow.
Ah!
That's a crow. That's a raven.
Why is he like a writing desk?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're so lucky. I wish I had access to woods like that. I mean, I do, but I have to actively go to like a public park to get that shit. Yeah, it's not like right in my backyard. Like I can't just like wander off with my cloak like you do.
Cloak.
So lucky. You're so lucky.
I would love to have you sometime. I really would.
Oh, speaking of woods, and because I thought of you when I saw this. I thought of Avi too, but I mostly thought of you because you have the woods.
Yeah.
Somebody made an equinox vortex or tunnel in their woods. They took like all these sticks and they made like these triangles, huge triangles.
Oh,
and
I saw that.
They made like a tunnel, and I was like, Christina could fucking do this shit.
I want to do that. No, today I was out. I really want somebody, whoever's listening, give me one of those battery-powered handheld little chainsaws, because I want to make a moon arch. You see the people who make them out of like all the trees I was passing today. I was like, that would be a good tree. That would be a good tree. Just need to chop that shit down.
Yeah, and then I tagged Avi because I was like, last year he was like so gung ho about his fucking Blair Witch sticks. So I sent it to him. He was like, should I make an equinox vortex? I was like, fucking where on our little suburban property that people aren't gonna pass by and be like, look at this fucking witch house. Like what?
I hope he does. That would be sick.
He's gonna put his Blair Witch. He saved his Blair Witch sticks from last year. He can't wait to put them back up. Trust me. Yeah, he wants to be that house in the neighborhood. I assure you.
You are so lucky. That is fantastic.
He wants to paint. Well, we both want to paint our house like that charcoal gray with black shutters.
Yeah.
And we want a Salem house so bad. Ugh.
That would look beautiful.
That's
Tom
the
would be all about any arches or any like spooky shit in the woods. He loves that
that.
shit. So it's his. We have like a little like 20 feet into the woods, but then the rest is his where we go. So I think
he lets you, right? He lets you go walk on his property.
Oh yeah. We can do whatever. We fish in the pond, eat the fish out of there. We bring them fish. I think it would be so cool to make the vortex or whatever. I am just so scared of getting poison ivy.
Oh yeah, that's a big If
likes
you
to
do
find
it, show me. I want to see pictures. Let me know if you do that.
Okay, maybe I'll just film it and put it on the Patreon if I end up doing it. They come home on Tuesday, so I might have to get to it if I'm going to surprise them with a vortex.
You're gonna surprise them with a vortex in their wood yard?
Someone would be like, awesome, right on, man.
What is that?
What is
Like
that?
it.
You did that, girl. Change the oil and write a book in the same week. Okay,
Oh my
let's
God.
keep going. You can
Yeah.
work on your sacred spaces. Designate a physical space in your home for ritual, or use symbolic elements like candles, flowers, or images to set the mood. If you don't have like an additional room, do what Justina does. She uses her bathroom all the time for meditation in the bath and self-care, and put your crystals and your energies in there.
Yeah.
Work on gratitude and noticing the beauty throughout the day, regularly acknowledging that beauty with gratitude and the synchronicities you encounter, like our praying mantises that want to fight us. You just encourage your life to welcome that spirit of energy.
I'm comparing our praying mantis parking lot experience like the violinist. I'm just picturing little praying mantises playing
Playing the violin.
violin.
I love that. We need to come up with a catchy slogan for that. I think that's cute.
Do you
What was the
remember
other
that
one you had the other day?
Wait, what other one? A praying
You-
mantis thing?
No, you had a t-shirt idea and I can't remember it now.
Oh yeah, what was it? I can't fucking remember.
Was it crows?
Yeah, it was something it wasn't the murder. It wasn't something about the murder. Oh, the the crow, how they cache the food in their
Oh.
and I want a crow on a shirt that says catch me outside. How about that? Yeah.
Really, dude, we gotta write these down because I'm
We
gonna forget
really
them.
do have to start writing these down, pop them on the Teespring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Integrating. Okay, you can do intuitive movement, let go of that rigid habit and move your body organically to music or other natural rhythms to allow spirit to move through you. Incorporate the colors that you're drawn to into your clothing, your room, your jewelry. And then lastly, create playlists of songs that evoke that energy you wish to embody and listen to them any damn time you want, that makes you happy.
That's one of my favorite things to do. I have a playlist
too.
for my playlists. I have a playlist for
Yeah.
every thing, every show I love, everything I love. I make music playlists for no reason.
I love it. Yeah.
It's a habit. It's an addiction, actually, really.
Music is spell work.
It really is, yeah. Have we done an episode about music just being spell work yet? I know we talk
No.
about our music all the time in our MSR episodes. We talk about music up the ass.
Yeah.
But I don't think we ever did an episode like that. That would be fun.
That would be cool.
Right.
And to know how many popular artists do that in their music videos. I think we have one we're going to talk about next week when we talk about Hecate. So keep an ear out for that. But I would love to do a music-centered episode.
100%. All right. So in spiritual and esoteric traditions, the spirit element is understood to exist beyond the seasonal cycles of the physical world. As the fifth element, also known as ether, akasha, or quintessence, it is not tied to a specific time of year as it represents the timeless, all-encompassing energy that binds and permeates the other four elements. However, the spirit's influence is often felt more strongly during certain transitional periods or through practices that cultivate inner balance. So times when the spirit element is the most relevant, it's at the center of the wheel of the year. While the four physical elements are each assigned to a season, like fire to summer, earth to winter, air to spring, and water to autumn, the spirit element represents the center of the cycle. It is present all the time and is associated with the entire wheel of the year, symbolizing timelessness and the eternal now. The spirit element can feel more pronounced during the changing of the seasons, as it oversees the transition from one elemental period to the next. Does that make sense? So not when you're in the full thick of the actual season, but in that weird liminal time between, when summer kind of blends into autumn and you don't know which one you should really be fully embracing yet,
Yeah, what are we dressing for today?
Exactly. I mean, New Jersey is a whole wow, it's all the seasons all year long.
Yeah.
We've had snow in October, we've had snow in May.
Damn.
Never snow in the middle of summer. That would be wild.
Apocalyptic.
But
Yeah.
I would not put it past New Jersey though, because we're just all over the map and it's unpredictable at shit. So just dress in layers. That's my motto. Dress in layers, because you never know. Let's talk about the equinoxes. These are the transitional points between summer and winter. The autumn equinox, in particular, where we are now, is seen as a time to turn inward and reflect, which aligns with cultivating spiritual awareness. Now let's talk about Samhain. By the time this episode comes out, we're going to be a little closer to Samhain.
Yeah.
In traditions like Wicca, the veil between worlds is believed to be the thinnest around Samhain. This makes it a powerful time to be accessing the spiritual realm and connecting with intuition and inner knowledge knowledge and even your ancestors and spirits. And a couple years back, I was noticing a little more clairaudience around this time. So I don't know. And I know
It's no joke.
Christina, you've been really experiencing the thinning of the veil recently. So
I have. Yeah, this is not a time to fuck around because they're there if you need them and they want to be talked to. It's not talk to them all year round. It's not like going to grandma's house when you need money, or a meal. Like talk to them all the time. But right now, don't be surprised if they answer in ways that you weren't expecting.
Right. And we're gonna have a whole episode on that ancestor veneration in a couple weeks, but you can make them a little altar, put a little talk about spirits, their favorite alcohol on the altar, right?
Oh, I'm gonna do that this year.
Mr. What's his name? Mr. Evil. Dr. Evil. Here's one for my homies.
Mr. Evil.
Evil. Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
The ball guy.
I like that.
So through meditative and ritual practices, because the spirit element transcends the material world, its relevance is not dependent on the calendar, but on one's focused spiritual practice. Any time of conscious connection, like meditating, performing rituals, seeking inner stillness, they're all ways to connect with spirit, regardless of the season. The key is to quiet the mind and invite its presence, which is like, I have the biggest trouble with doing that.
Same.
Quieting the mind? Are you kidding me? What?
Yeah.
How does one do that? It really is a skill, and you got to practice it.
Sometimes it's to quiet your mind, you need to make physical noise, like hum to yourself, regulate your nervous system that way. I will do that in fucking walking around Walmart. I'll hum and kind of scare people out of my way. Yeah, because I am just so
I like
impatient.
That. Yeah.
Or like today when we were in the woods, like there's so much going on all the time. Just pick a song, try to sing that song the whole way through. Today it was Pocahontas because it felt all the breezes were stirring and I just kept hearing Grandmother Willow be like, all around you, child,
That makes me want to cry.
I know.
I loved that movie as a kid. I know. And every time I was very drawn to feel open empty fields or little pathways.
That's why we love sunflowers.
Yeah, my dad had a couple friends that had a lot of property, and we would go over there for his work picnics and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember the one friend he had, they had this huge yard, and all the yards were kind of they ran into each other because nobody had fences back in the 90s. And they had a willow tree. And I remember just running around that property with barefoot and just being I want to live.
We would have been the best of friends.
Willow tree forever.
I know.
My mom used to call me Pocahontas because I used to run around with no shoes on and just talk to trees. I swear to you.
Yeah.
And I used to play the shit out of that soundtrack.
Yeah.
The Color of
over
the Wind.
and
Are you
over.
kidding me? Oh my God. That was,
Just saying, if you can't quiet the mind and you need a little help, hum to yourself or get your favorite song in your head. And that's in a way your own meditation because you're exiting your body, right? You're exiting that mind of yours into something else.
I like that. And, as much as I write music and I'm always singing, my songs when I'm playing my guitar, but I never think to just sing to myself to quiet my mind. I am always singing to practice or for a purpose or because I'm trying to brainstorm things, but I'm never oh right, let me I'm never doing it to just actually quiet the fuck out of my mind because I go to sleep with my AirPods in and I have to fall asleep to a podcast because I have to always have some kind of voice or sound in my ear because once I have complete silence, forget it. Don't leave me alone with my
Get it.
That's the worst thing you can do. Are you kidding me?
I totally get that.
But yeah, only on certain occasions when I'm dead tired will I fall asleep with
Pass the fuck out.
nothing on. Right? That's rare, right?
I saw a TikTok that somebody was saying they had a motorcycle and they were you cannot get more connected to your body and just leave your mind than when you're on a motorcycle. And the comments were yeah, it's really hard to be in your mind when you're trying not to die. My mind is not more active than when I'm on a bike, but for other reasons. It was just funny how this guy was you're just fluid and you're just out of your own thoughts and you're thinking about yeah, bro, that's you. I'm looking at that cow across the way that I'm trying not to hit. on these
Yeah.
roads. So
I
you do you, honey boo.
That's why I think I could never ride a bike because I would be too up in my head about it, and it would defeat the purpose. Because I know people ride to clear the mind, and I would ride and I'd be like, "Fuck, I'm gonna fucking die on this shit."
Every time. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, it does not clear my mind at all.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. All
But you
right.
know what? Now I get to put all of those thoughts in Aaron's ears because we have an intercom now.
Do
So
you?
my helmet on my bike, he usually leads. I
Yeah.
get to tell him every single intrusive thought, and he listens, which is great.
That's fun. I like that you guys have something like that to do together. That's really cool.
Thanks,
Like you
man.
guys too bad. Avi used to ride and he will never get me on a bike and he will never get me to buy a bike and ride with him. So
Why not?
I'm fucking scared as shit. Are you kidding me? I'm scared to drive in a car. I drowned in July. Did you forget that? Like,
I drowned. Oh my God, we got to wrap.
oh
Look,
my God.
okay, tell me about these cocktails. These are beautiful.
Okay, all right. So I found this at underscore my bartender over on the Instagram so conveniently today while we're talking about spirits. So we're going to tell you some Halloween cocktails with some spirits right now so that you can enjoy these this spooky season. The first one is called Batshit Crazy, and this is a very beautiful orange, bright orange, like pumpkin orange, and the rim is like, it looks like a black, okay, it's black sugar. I thought it was salt, but it's black sugar. So what's in this? This is apple vodka, pumpkin puree, apple juice, lime juice, what does that say?
Orgeat syrup?
Orgeat syrup? I don't know what that is.
Mm.
And black sugar rim. And it's garnished with, that looks like a sprig of mint, right?
We should each pick one of these or just one to do for our season 3 wrap up.
Ooh, all right. I'll have to see what I have on hand.
Or-
Now, we still have a friggin' shit ton of alcohol from our wedding because we had to supply our own alcohol. So guess who got stuck with a bar full of alcohol after the wedding? And like,
What a shame.
me and Navi don't drink like that
What a
much.
shame you don't have a Gemini friend to come help.
I know. I wish you
out.
would. Yeah, I swear, if you lived closer to here, I would definitely
Be an alcoholic.
because we would just be drinking all the time. We would be having our glass of port at noon
Yeah.
out in the garden.
In the garden. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. The next one on this list is the Maleficent Halloween cocktail. This one is a beautiful, bright purple color with a garnished with a cherry and a sprig of mint. And this has lime juice, raspberry liqueur, lemon lime soda, silver edible glitter. I love me my edible glitter in the drinks. It's so pretty. And purple food coloring. And vodka is the spirit of choice here. And then next we have the green Beetlejuice cocktail. This one's a lot of fun. Bright green, obviously, with the black sugar rim. And we have the spirit of choice as vodka. We have green apple liqueur, raspberry liqueur, blue curacao, yellow food dye, lime juice, and agave. I'm guessing like an agave simple syrup, maybe agave syrup, as a sweetener. Next we have
It looks like a little Frankenstein head.
It
It's green with like a little black hair.
It does. It just needs some stitches on the side, right?
Yeah, little googly eyes.
Little googly eyes and the little screws out of the side of the head. It's the Avi cocktail. I always call him Frankenstein.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. He's always been my Frankenstein, and I'm the bride Frankenstein.
Cute.
When we got engaged, that's what we were that year for Halloween.
Aw, the bride. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
and we announced it to everybody at our Halloween party while we were dressed like that.
Cute.
It was cute. So we have 3 more here. The next one is the Black Widow. And vodka is black vodka. So I'm guessing the black, I think it's called Blavad. There's a brand that specifically makes black vodka. And we bought that for our wedding because we made a cocktail. I think it was called Vampire's Kiss. We made a black vodka cocktail. It was really, really good.
Interesting. I've never heard of it.
The black vodka, pretty sure that's the Blavad brand. Then we have the raspberry liqueur, lime juice, and a simple syrup. The next one, and this one is also loaded with, garnished with tons of, like, it looks like raspberries, blackberries, and a slice of lime. So that's also very pretty. That one looks very gothic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And then we have the next one is a witch's brew. This one looks very simple. The only thing garnishing this is a cherry, maraschino cherry, and this has Midori. What is this?
Cointreau?
Cointreau? Never heard of that. What is that exactly?
Like an orange liqueur?
Okay. All right. So that's the spirit of choice here. And some lemon juice. This one looks very simple. It kind of looks like an ecto cooler kind of green color, right?
Like Gatorade.
Gatorade, yeah, exactly. And then lastly, we have the Vampire Tequila. This one uses white tequila, palma liqueur, seltzer, corn syrup, red food coloring, and grenadine. It looks like that's what they're using to kind of like run down the sides. It looks like vampire's blood is kind of running down the sides, which is really pretty. And you know what what makes these like cocktails even cooler is if you get those ice cube tray molds in the shapes of like skulls or bats, or like you can make it even spookier with your ice molds.
That's cute. I like that idea.
Right. Yeah. So these are just some fun spiritual spirits to help you get into the spooky season. So
I'm trying to remember what our Harry Nielsen was made out of. I'm looking at the little invitation. It's up on the wall.
Yeah.
But I don't think we ever wrote down what was in it. We probably still have the email from our guy, but I don't remember. It was a margarita with butterfly pea flower to make it purple, but it had something else that you could drink a whole pitcher of these things, and it had a beautiful flower on the top.
Very tropical looking too, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
Straight out of Curacao.
Yeah.
Those were very good, very dangerous. We had many of those that night. And I'll never forget that one girl that was like, this isn't that good.
And I was like, well, fuck you. Fuck you. I've had 5.
Well, you're not invited to our, I don't know, what were we playing? We were playing, what were we playing?
Trivia.
Yeah, we were doing trivia, but we had on the name tags. We'd had remember we were saying who could drink the most drinks, and
names on us. Yeah.
Every time we finished I guess a drink, we would add a
new name tag.
Yeah, that was a good time.
There's photographic proof. Just go back in our grid. You can see it.
Yeah. Pretty sure Chucky ended up with all those at the end of the night.
Man, that's no longer the regatta, right? That's something else.
Now I think it's Mainstay Social.
Okay.
Yeah, and the name of the hotel now, I think the name of the hotel is Mainstay Social. Or no, it's Salem Waterfront Suites, and then the bar is Mainstay Social.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's all we got for today for Spirit, right?
I feel like Spirit possessed us a little bit because it was like, you are not going to stay on topic, girls. Sorry.
No.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. As we've seen across Hoffman's books and the film, Spirit is the invisible thread, the one that binds the Owens family to each other, to their ancestors, and even to us as readers and viewers. It's the element of thresholds between life and death, presence and absence, past and future. And in Hoffman's stories, it reveals itself in the quiet liminal moments, like sparrows taking flight, dusk setting, or a vision in the garden. A Spirit teaches us that love, memory, and magic can travel farther than the body ever could. It's the unseen spark that animates, connects, and carries meaning across lifetimes. And as we close, we invite you to reflect, where have you felt Spirit in your own life? Was it in a dream, or a sudden sign, or the unmistakable presence of a loved one who's far away or has even passed on to the spiritual plane? And perhaps that was Spirit reminding you that the veil is thinner than it seems. And hope you guys have many stories to send us for our spooky season finale. That would be
How do you feel about doing a live for the season finale? It doesn't have to be the whole thing. That would be a very long live. But now that we know kind of what we're doing, it would be really nice to connect with the listeners. Yeah.
Instagram? That would be a really long live if we did the entire episode that way. Because I'm thinking a lot of our final episode will probably be flashbacks to like other episodes and like,
at least maybe the first half hour segment. Let's organize that to incorporate our listeners, because I like when they talk to us and we can read their comments and they feel heard, and
I like that too.
That would be fun.
That is a lot of fun. Yeah. So guys, let us know what you think of that, and send us your spooky stories. We want to read them. We want more. I think I only have 2 so far, and I've been collecting them for like a month now. Send me some stuff.
If you'd like to help support the show, you can visit us at patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast, where you can vote about what we talk about next. You can see our monthly calendars and even get a shout out on the show. You can grab our show notes, our after hours posts, and curated playlists. You're able to join our private communities over on Facebook and Discord for live streams, watch parties, and other chats. You can unlock bonus videos and bloopers, meditations, old vault footage, spells, and ritual content, plus exclusive demos of our original music. But if Patreon's not your thing, you can still support us for free by rating our show on Spotify or Apple Podcast and leave us a review. Share us on Instagram and check out our merch through the link in our bio. But again, that's patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Next week, we're talking about the mighty Hecate Make It Right. Talking about Hecate herself. Been putting this one off for a little bit because I was nervous. We'll get into her next week. And don't forget to download our new EP, Welcome to the Neighborhood, the Magnolia Street Sessions Volume 1, over at www.thestinas.magnoliastreet.bandcamp.com.
There you go.
And we may or may not have a live next week. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. I mean, I'm sure we'll find some shit to talk about. We always do. You know,
Sounds
even
good.
if it's like nothing to do with the movie and it's just like people want to send us, want to read comments and feedback, and like I'm sure people just want to hear from us. Yeah.
Weird. Why? I
know.
don't know why.
What the fuck? All right. With that said, cheers with my pumpkin
Cheers.
blend down east unfiltered cider. Everybody have a good evening. Go pour yourself a glass of a spirit, or if you don't do alcohol, then make a mocktail. That's fun too.
That is fun too.
Right.
All
All
right.
right, guys. I'm Justina,
I'm Christina.
and we'll see
you next time.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you go down to Magnolia Street where the wisteria grow wild? And the house of magic and mystery, so would you go down to Magnolia Street?
All right. Good boy. I'm hungry.